Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at tra.com
Or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The government shutdown claims another victim as a U.S.-funded international broadcaster sharply curtails its schedule.
Radio Free Asia has been one of the few reliable sources of news in parts of the continent where authoritarian governments limit people's access to information. It was founded in 1996 to report on China and other Asian countries with limited press freedom, including North Korea, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Myanmar. At its peak, it was reaching 60 million listeners a week. Its exclusive and detailed reports on China's alleged systematic persecution of the Uyghur Muslim minority in Xinjiang province brought global attention to the issue.
The BBC's Anbarasan Etirajan. Chinese leader Xi Jinping tells Asia-Pacific leaders that his country will help to defend global free trade. He spoke at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in South Korea. Townhall.com. This story lends a whole new meaning to the phrase, have a seat.
Spanish police have arrested 7 people suspected of stealing 1,100 chairs from outdoor seating areas at bars and restaurants in Madrid over a 2-month time frame. Now, authorities estimate the stolen property worth nearly $70,000. The suspects facing charges of theft and belonging to a criminal organization. They allegedly sold the chairs in Spain, Morocco, and Romania. Jason Walker reporting.
Silicon Valley chipmaker NVIDIA planning to supply its graphics processing units for projects with the South Korean business community and the government. The aim is to advance the country's artificial intelligence infrastructure. The government and the companies announced the plan after South Korea's president met today with NVIDIA's chief executive. More on these stories, townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good morning to the John Fredericks Media Network. We are indeed broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. It is a special day because here in studio is the one, the only, the official guest host of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, Aaron Haas. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning.
You're looking very...
I'm EJ on the radio.
Yeah. EJ, that's right.
EJ. Mm-hmm.
You're looking very autumnal.
Ah.
Very,
Word of the day.
Autumnal.
It is going to be gorgeous for this wonderful Halloween here in Middle Tennessee. It's going to be beautiful today.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, it's time for the Morning Rundown, which we do every day at this time, brought to you by our very good friends at the Glock Store. The Glock Store located just a few miles from the airport, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So here we go. Here's the morning rundown for Friday, October 31st, 2025. Number 1, Donald Trump has called for the nuclear option to end the filibuster in the Senate to stop the shutdown. Probably not going to happen.
Probably not.
But, look, I think I was listening to Fox News on the way in, and one of their analysts said, look, nothing's going to happen until after the election.
Until after Tuesday.
After Tuesday.
Yep.
And then a deal probably will be cut.
Democrats are always so calculated.
Yeah.
I think they're losing this one, though.
Yeah, I think so, too. Number 2, calls for the impeachment of federal Judge James Boasberg escalate. And I will devote all of Hour 3 to that. And as a bonus, we'll take Hour 3 and we're going to turn it into like a video podcast that will be available to the entire world. Making the case that, yes, it is proper to impeach Judge James Boasberg, and 2, to kind of get an outline of what the Senate trial might look like. Number 3, SNAP benefits will not be paid to 42 million Americans tomorrow. That's basically food stamps.
Careful what you say with Americans. Say people in America.
42 million residents of America.
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, because 17% of the people that get food stamps are illegal aliens.
Yeah, either.
Yikes.
Yep.
Or something like that. Number 4, Metro Nashville schools. This will shock you.
Nightmare.
Metro Nashville Public Schools may well be violating Tennessee state law and federal regulations by pushing, wait for it, LGBTQ History Month.
How are we not over this nonsense?
Well, they're doing more and more of it. There is apparently October for the lefties is LGBTQ History Month, not to be confused with June, which is LGBTQ Pride Month.
Listen, I was on this very program in June, which is my birthday month, and I have decided they can't have the rainbow. You got to pick one color. You can't have them all. And you can't have an entire month.
Really?
You just can't.
Give them a day.
Sorry, you got a day. We'll have a Pride Day, and you can't have a Pride History Month and a Pride Month.
It's a Pride year. It's a Pride decade, right?
Good Lord.
A good Lord is right. Tom Pappert has some breaking stories. There's this learning management system called Schoology.
Yeah.
And they're using it to basically get around or sneak in LGBTQ content.
So I had a student that was, my son was using Schoology. I believe my girls might have, at least one of my girls might have. And it is very bizarre to have direct communication between the teacher and the student outside of the parent being able to kind of see it.
Yeah.
And it's very, very strange because they could have entire conversations in the Schoology program and the parent never even be alerted to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy. And then they have these big forums where everybody has to participate. Schoology's a little too much.
And what it is it's almost like personalized curriculum developed by a teacher directly to your child, and you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, they try to give you a login, but listen, like you have a login to Schoology, you got to log into the library, you got to log into the whatever grading system. Like, there's so many different things. No parent could keep up, quite honestly, with all of the communication that's happening digitally between their students and their teachers.
Number 5, yesterday, the Tennessee State Appeals Court heard oral arguments in the case in which I and the Tennessee Star, we are the plaintiffs. This is our lawsuit filed in May of 2023. We're talking almost 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
In the case in which we wanted the Metro Nashville Police Department to release the full Covenant Killer Manifesto and related communications between Metro Nashville Police and the FBI. Now, our team did very well in oral arguments. Very well.
Great. I can't wait to hear that.
Their team, not so well. In fact, they got a certain part of their anatomy kicked by one of the judges, right? And it was a delight to watch. We'll have that in hour 2 as well. Now, the decision will come down the pike in a couple months, and we think we got a very, very, very good chance of winning in the Court of Appeals. Game 6 of the World Series. I think it's tonight. Yep. In Toronto, the Blue Jays lead 3-2. Kind of a surprise over the Dodgers.
Yep.
Shohei Ohtani was fabulous in the first 3 games. Kind of had a couple bad games. No hits in the past 2 games, and he pitched.
Well, they made him a runner, like a pinch runner, too, in what was it, game 2, I think?
Yeah.
And so then he wasn't allowed to hit or pitch or something. I'm not a huge baseball fan, but it was a coaching decision that all the sports guys are freaking out about.
Well, they left him in the one game. He pitched 6 good innings, gave up 2 runs. If I'd been the manager, which I'm not, I would have pulled him out.
Have you seen that guy? He's massive.
But they left him in. It was too long, and they scored.
Yeah.
They scored a couple runs, and should have taken him out after 6 innings. Number 7, on Tuesday, elections. Governor of New Jersey, Governor of Virginia, Mayor of New York. I have to tell you, it's not going to go well for the good guys. We got one shot, maybe New Jersey.
Maybe.
And probably the Attorney General will keep that in Virginia.
Yeah.
But everything else, not going to go the way of the good guys. Finally, that's my, analytic prediction. Number 8, Donald Trump and Melania were out handing candy. And we'll have that. So there you go. That's the morning rundown for Halloween, Thursday, October 1st, which is 2025. Brought to you by our friends at the Glock store. EJ, I don't know if you knew this, that in addition to selling more Glock handguns than any other retailer in the country, that they also give away more Glocks than any other retailer. They continually run sweepstakes that give away Glocks. This month, it is no exception. Today's the last day for Glocktober. And they're giving away the winner's choice of any stock factory Glock handgun up to a $620 value. It's all free, including shipping to your nearest FFL. The easiest way to enter is just buy one of the GS limited edition pumpkin-themed stickers or patches. You'll then be automatically entered into the sweepstakes. 1 entry per sticker, 2 per patch. There's complete information as well as a no-cost entry method on the Glocktober giveaway page at glockstore.com/GG. And you know, EJ, the founder and CEO, Lenny McGill, he's known as that Glock guy, but for today, he's that Glock giveaway guy. If you've always wanted a Glock, and especially a free Glock, visit glockstore.com today. So it is Halloween, and we've got this clip of Donald Trump and Melania handing out candy. Let's just take a look at it right now. Very Halloween-y. I don't know if that's like from today or the previous Trump 1.0, but it's kind of fun.
It's so fun. And actually, it was very well decorated.
Oh, yeah.
It was very well attended.
She's really decorated up the White House. You know?
It was very sweet. And remember, this comes on the heels of a massive trip to Asia. So
There
how
you
he
go.
was standing and not asleep, I don't know.
I don't think he sleeps. I don't think he was born to sleep. When we come back, E.J. Haas with a detailed analysis of what's going on with SNAP benefits.
Yeah.
Back after this.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Executive Director of the American Constitutional Rights Union Action Fund, and this is a Live Free Minute. Just this month, an illegal immigrant in Virginia was convicted of raping an 11-year-old girl after breaking into her home. On any given day, there are hundreds of illegal immigrants in Virginia jails who have committed violent crimes. Yet there are politicians who openly advocate for protecting these criminal illegal immigrants and who wish to make Virginia a sanctuary for them. Our constitutional republic is dependent on adherence to the rule of law. Our founders could not have imagined that there would be politicians who would be so bold as to campaign against it. I encourage you to vote this election to protect public safety and the rule of law. This Live Free Minute is sponsored by the American Constitutional Rights Union Action Fund. We empower Americans to live free. And for more information, go to acruaction.com.
Is your pet ready for some pawsome fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at creeksidepethotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
Ghazala Hashmi is masquerading as a moderate, but she's really a dangerous far-left radical. The facts? Crazy far-left groups bankroll Ghazala Hashmi's campaign, and Hashmi repeatedly voted for taxpayer-funded tuition and driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. She even co-sponsored legislation to lower the penalties for criminals who assault police officers and firefighters. Ghazala Hashmi, masquerading as a moderate, too radical for Virginia.
I'm John Reed, candidate for Lieutenant Governor, and I sponsored this ad.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why the big wireless companies want you on an unlimited plan? It's because they need you to help cover the cost of the 20-somethings who are using a lot of data every month. Fact is, according to the latest research studies, most people 50 and up, like me, only use 12 gigs or less each month. Don't get bamboozled by big wireless. At Consumer Cellular, pick what suits your needs. Whether it's 1 gig, 5, 10, or unlimited, The point is, pay for exactly what you need and nothing more. We use the same towers as the big guys, but since we don't own and maintain them, we can pass the savings on to you. Our plans start at just $20 a month, and you'll get the best customer service in the business. I want to invite you to join the millions of people who choose something better than big wireless. Because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at GlockStore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at GlockStore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer. This is Michael Patrick Leahy. Join Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr, Senator Marsha Blackburn, Congressman Tim Burchett, and Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs and me at T-Bones and Politics 2025 on the evening of November 10th in Murfreesboro for a night of great food, good fellowship, and inspiring political speeches. Get your tickets now. They're going fast at tbonesandpolitics2025.com. This is a great annual event. This year, musical entertainment will be provided by the Tremolo Honey Band. If you haven't heard them before, they are absolutely fantastic. This special event is sponsored by Barrett Firearms, Old South SRM, Moody Excavating, Azure Flight Management, and SEC Engineers. So go right now to tbonesandpolitics2025.com and get your tickets for T-Bones and Politics. It's an evening of great food and fun on November 10th. I'll see you there. Paid for by Joe Pack, William Ronsley, Treasurer.
Now more than ever, President Trump needs battle-tested conservatives fighting alongside him to save our country. That's why Trump endorsed Matt Van Epps for Congress. West Point grad, 9 combat tours, decorated Army vet. Matt Van Epps has devoted his life to defending America and the conservative values we cherish. Endorsed by Trump, fearless conservative. Tennessee's Matt Van Epps for Congress. School Freedom Fund is responsible for the content of this ad.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. One of the benefits of being the official guest host of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show,
Yes,
EJ,
sir.
is you get to say whatever you want.
Sometimes.
Most of the time. Well, we set aside segments
Sure.
that are EJ's view of the world. This is one of those segments.
Okay.
So let me set the stage. 42 million residents of America
Thank you.
receive monthly food stamp benefits.
Yep.
SNAP. It's called SNAP is the name of the program. And that's a lot. That's like 1 out of every 8. A number of them are foreign-born or illegal aliens.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
A number of them. And the payments are supposed to, they come on like a debit card. And then they
Yes.
just are not going to be there tomorrow.
Right.
And there are some social media clips out there of people that say, if I don't get my SNAP benefits, I'm going to come in and steal it and punch out anybody that stops me.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how big that is. You have a particular view on SNAP.
I do on SNAP, and then more specifically, this latest scare tactic by the Democrats. So SNAP, remember, was created in the 30s. It was under President FDR, Roosevelt.
Okay.
That was when it was originally created. It was severe economic chaos, remember. It was the 30s.
Yeah.
Farmers had an abundance of food, livestock, crops, everything. It was glut. In other words, they had an overabundance. They had way too much. And so the demand was there, but nobody could afford it. So people were very hungry, but they couldn't buy the food. So the supply was too much. There was a 17% unemployment rate at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very different times than now, right? So people needed this to actually eat. Like they were legitimately going to starve without some sort of intervention.
Not just like be hungry for a day.
Right.
But literally during the 30s, people were starving.
Right. And children malnourished, babies, risk of death. I mean, it was dire at that time. So the program was revived under JFK, expanded under Lyndon B. Johnson, and then thanks to President Richard Nixon, it exploded fivefold. So But
I thought Nixon was a mean old conservative.
Yeah, no. He was a big spender. Big spender. So I kind of set all this up to let you know that Democrats and obviously Republicans expanding the program, they exploit SNAP recipients. They did then to get things passed. You can't let people starve. We have to give them more money. We have to give them more food in order to get other things passed. And now they're doing it again, right? So Democrats are exploiting, and I want to kind of make a point of that. So remember when the shutdown, this is the latest in their narrative attempts. I want to kind of list through in the very beginning of the shutdown, Democrats tried to scare the masses by saying people would lose their health care plans, right? That health care was just going to be turned off for millions of Americans. Well, it turns out the internet did its thing. Conservatives, America First, MAGA people went all over the place. They used things like Grok and ChatGPT and Gemini to find out the truth about that. And the truth was millions of illegal aliens are getting free health care. So that message failed. Democrats weren't able to overcome the truth that we could find so readily and easily on the internet. Right? So Republicans didn't cave on the CR. They said, nope, we're not caving. Years ago, Republicans would have caved. The GOP would have said, that's such bad publicity. We want the media to like us. And they would have just caved, but they didn't. So that doesn't work. Next, Democrats try to say it's another fear-based media blitz saying that health insurance premiums are going to skyrocket if Republicans don't cave and give the Democrats what they want in the CR.
Starting January 1st. Yeah.
Right. But then again, the internet does its thing. Everybody rushes to their favorite AI program and asks it some questions. And it turns out that the insurance companies are the ones that get those tax benefits, not the people. So we started.
But the argument would be, they lower rates. But rates are, regardless of that, rates are going up dramatically for Obamacare.
Yes. And so it exposed the ACA, Obamacare, as being a horrible failed policy.
Now, let me just pause for a moment.
Yeah.
Because you said something very important. Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, was passed in 2010.
Yep. With no Republican support.
Right.
And against our warnings.
And Judge Roberts in 2012 called it constitutional because in one context it was a tax and in another context it wasn't. I don't know how he did that. It was a bad decision, but nonetheless, we've had it ever since.
Judicial gymnastics.
It is a complete failure.
Total failure.
Yeah.
And thanks to the Democrats bringing this up as a scare tactic, this narrative that they thought would work to kind of expose the GOP for being big fat meanies, and they would cave on the CR, we didn't, because we found out the truth. ACA is a joke. Obamacare is a massive failure. And now we can start having the conversation about fixing it or getting rid of it altogether.
Can I just
we couldn't
pause
have done that if it wasn't for the Democrats.
Can I just pause for a moment?
Yeah.
You're 5,000,000% correct. And I'm glad you said that because as I've seen all this, and you look at the huge increases that are going to happen with or without the tax credits starting January 1st, it seems very obvious that after 15 years of operation, Obamacare is a massive failure.
Yeah.
That is a stunning political revelation.
And do you know what I said at the time? I was on radio in Minnesota, of all places, and I said, by the time we can say, I told you so, it's going to be too late. And that's the truth. And so now we're suffering the consequences here. But does that mean we can bring up that question then after we get through this? Can we say, all right, Obamacare, out. We're done with this.
So, again, you are very perceptive in saying that. I've had the same question. When will the Republicans say, okay, let's admit Obamacare is a failure?
Yeah.
And have that discussion. But I haven't seen a lot of that.
No, we haven't.
No.
But I think that's a good push for the MAGA folks, for the America First movement, to really say, okay, you've got your feet under you now. You're not caving like you used to. Now go have the spine, the backbone to take it one step further. So those were two failed narratives. Now we've got this SNAP one. They're making a big deal, Democrats are, about, the families that are going to be suffering. And to be fair, there are people who are going to have a problem.
Tomorrow.
Who are going to assume that their benefits are there. They're going to go to the grocery store tomorrow or Sunday and Monday.
No. They're all going to go tomorrow because that's when the money hits their cards.
Right. So Walmart, always busy on a Saturday, right? Lots of people go there and go and get their food and whatever. Okay. So, yes, it will really hurt people. But what I find interesting is the Democrats really thought that they could use this now as a scare tactic also to get the Republicans to cave. But what ended up happening? Their crazy base came out with, we're going to eat anyways, and we're going to steal the food. I've got more on this. It's
and we will talk about it in our next segment. We have 2 full segments.
Sweet.
Of E.J. Haas. Back after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
If you plan on voting for the Republicans in Virginia in November, vote early. That is the key to victory. Let's hear what Governor Youngkin has to say.
We have to get the vote out, and you have to vote early. Something could happen on Election Day, and you will miss it, and we can't afford to miss it. SecureYourVoteVirginia.com is ready to help you make a plan to vote early. Get out and vote. Every single vote counts. Go to SecureYourVoteVirginia.com and make a plan to vote early.
Early voting is underway. The time to vote is now. Paid for by Spirit of Virginia.
Ghazala Hashmi is masquerading as a moderate, but she's really a dangerous far-left radical. The facts? Crazy far-left groups bankroll Ghazala Hashmi's campaign, and Hashmi repeatedly voted for taxpayer-funded tuition and driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. She even co-sponsored legislation to lower the penalties for criminals who assault police officers and firefighters. Ghazala Hashmi, masquerading as a moderate, too radical for Virginia.
I'm John Reed, candidate for Lieutenant Governor, and I sponsored this ad.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
Mamdani visited a very controversial Brooklyn mosque just months after the imam there called for the annihilation of Israel. Your thoughts?
This is a total failure of the media, the journalists, and the Democratic Party to confront this kid with his own background. He's a rabid socialist.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
He gave the finger to the Columbus statue.
Right. I can't almost think of any group he hasn't offended.
Is your fur baby looking a bit rough? Transform them from shaggy to snazzy with Befur and After Pet Grooming in Marietta, Georgia. Their top-notch groomers pamper your pups with baths, custom cuts, and nail trims that'll have them strutting like show dogs. From mobile grooming vans to their cozy salon, they'll make your pet spa day a tail-wagging blast. Book now at BefurandAfterGrooming.com. Befur and After, where pets go from grr to glamorous.
My fellow Americans, I have to tell you about my good friends at D.T. McCall & Sons. They have furniture and appliances and a lot more. They've been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years, and they're not going to rip you off. No hidden charges, no delivery charges, no charges for all of the crazy things. These are sick people at the lumber yards. These are very sick people. They charge you for cords and hoses and haul off. They charge you for all of these things. They call them hidden charges. It's the type of surprise that you don't want to see. It's like an October surprise, but it's worse. D.T. McCall & Sons, they're not going to do that. They're great people. They're going to give you a great deal. With locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, D.T. McCall & Sons will give you the deal of your life. Check them out today or go to dtmccalls.com.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Hi, everyone. EJ Haast here, founder of the Digital Footprint Management Agency and frequent guest on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, here to tell you about GetFoundEverywhere.com. Customers are searching for your business everywhere. Google, Apple Maps, TikTok, and new AI platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini, which is a total disruptor. Traditional search engine optimization isn't dead, but it is on life support. Old tactics don't work anymore. So how can you make your business stand out? GetFoundEverywhere.com makes your business pop on over 50 search, map, review, and AI-driven platforms. With one easy dashboard, manage business profiles, social media accounts, direct messages, even texts and reviews. GetFoundEverywhere.com is affordable, boosts your visibility, and gets your business more customers. It's time to step up your game the easy way. Save time, save money, and get more customers with GetFoundEverywhere.com.
I flew 9 combat tours taking out terrorists.
Matt Van Epps, America First warrior.
When my Chinook took enemy fire, I kept her in the air, got our guys, and completed the mission.
Matt Van Epps, American hero.
Now I'm on a new mission to help Trump save America. I'm Matt Van Epps. I approve this message because I know what to do with terrorists. So these woke wannabes in Washington better take cover.
Matt Van Epps, the conservative warrior Trump needs.
Paid for by Matt Van Epps for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
In studio, EJ Haast, official guest host of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. EJ, let's continue our SNAP discussion.
Sure.
SNAP runs out tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, this is $100 billion a year.
It's a very expensive program.
And just to put a little context of it, monthly it's a little over $8 billion that goes out. That $8 billion has not been authorized. It will not go out tomorrow. On average, it's $187 per person. If you've got a 4-person family, basically a lot of people, the people who are on it with a family, what they do is they wait for the $750 to hit tomorrow, and then go buy their groceries for the month.
That's right.
But it's not hitting tomorrow.
So it's not just groceries, though, too.
So,
and really in the context of the Democrats trying these scary narratives, they're ushering in this new wave of people who are investigating, exposing, finding the truth behind these programs. basically what's happening is the internet is doing its thing. We're finding out that there's millions and millions of wasted taxpayer dollars. For almost 43 million people drawing on the funds. That's 1 in every 8 people, like you mentioned. I have a few other stats for you. If this were the only thing that we were paying for as taxpayers for these 40-some million people, maybe we could get by. But do you want to know why we're broke as a country? Why we have so much debt?
Tell me why. Tell me.
80% of SNAP users are also on Medicaid.
Boom.
So we are paying.
Ching. We need to get a little audio. Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. So we're paying for really cruddy food for folks. It is really cruddy food.
Is it really
cruddy? It covers everything from Doritos and soda and really high carb, high fat foods. It's not like the SNAP program is the WIC program. Remember the WIC program, Women, Infants, and Children? That is specific to certain types of food. You can get baby formula, you can get vegetables, you can get meats, milk, eggs, things like that. Why we have WIC and SNAP? I think it's deeper. So 80% of SNAP users are also on Medicaid. So we're paying for the health care that's required because they ate the junk food on the SNAP program. 61% of SNAP recipients are also getting 2 or more additional welfare programs. So we're not just feeding hungry people. We're also taking care of rent and phones and other medical care. We're taking care of other things. 53.5% of immigrants, illegal or otherwise, are on at least one welfare program. So we're importing people from other countries and then giving them our taxpayer money. And all of this is being exposed because the Democrats decided this is going to be the thing that makes the GOP cave. So I love that the GOP is not caving. It's nice to see that they finally have a backbone. Democrats are unable at this point to hold the Republicans hostage. They have the upper hand because of 2 things. One, the truth is coming out and people are ticked. And then secondly, because we do have those majorities, which under the leadership of President Trump. Trump is the one who's saying, I'm not signing anything that comes across my desk unless it's the clean CR. So even though I would prefer an actual budget, the last time we went through the CR thing, I said, all right, you got me for one more and then no more CRs. I want a budget. So I'm disappointed that we're having this conversation again. I couldn't be happier that the Democrats are forcing these discussions because MAGA, America First, even regular people who don't pay attention very much are seeing these narratives and saying, hang on a second. I pay a lot of money in taxes so that other people can eat lobster tails. You know what else they can do? This is from Chef Gruel. Do you know that guy? He's a really popular chef. He spends a little bit of time on Fox News and on the Gutfeld show. But he's got restaurants. He's very popular for his food more than his politics, but love him anyways. He says roughly $10 billion in SNAP benefits are spent yearly, $10 billion, on third delivery apps. So third-party delivery apps like DoorDash, Instacart, what else?
If that's $100 billion a year, that means $10 billion
Grubhub
goes to delivery apps.
Right. And delivery apps, they're not just delivering groceries here, okay?
Yeah.
They're delivering a slushie from 7-Eleven. They're delivering a Dairy Queen meal.
Why can SNAP funds be used for DoorDash?
So they can be used for the food. DoorDash sales last year were about $12 billion. Assuming $2 to $3 billion of that was revenue from SNAP benefits, aka corporate subsidies. This is Gruel's quote. This freeze could decimate third-party delivery. So then I started digging and saying, you know what? If it'll decimate that, it's propping up everything else too. It's propping up Coca-Cola. It's propping up Walmart. It's propping up the trucking companies that bring the junk food to the stores. It's propping up everything. So we don't have a true supply, demand, free market food economy. We don't. That's out the window. And SNAP is just kind of the tip of the iceberg and giving us that, I don't know, getting us to be inquisitive and say, okay, wait a minute, where is my money really going?
Mm-hmm.
Who's benefiting from this?
Mm-hmm.
Walmart employees overwhelmingly are also on SNAP benefits. Where do you think they're going to do their grocery shopping? Probably at their place of business, right?
Yeah.
Their place of work.
Yeah.
So we're coming at this the wrong way. Do we need to feed people who are infirmed, the elderly who don't have family to help, people who are legitimately disabled and cannot work? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, I think we can as a society sustain that, and I think it's the right thing to do. But we have food banks, we have WIC, we have SNAP, and it's all being exposed now for fraud, wasted money, right? So even Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota,
Your favorite.
My favorite, I love saying that, failed vice presidential candidate. He was putting out there something like, for every dollar that is spent on SNAP, $1.83 goes back into the economy. First of all, math. That doesn't make any sense, because if it did, then we would just spend $180 million a week on SNAP, right? And then our economy would be amazing. Okay, that's obviously not how it works. But also, that's the mentality. That's how these people think. So Democrats had no idea that when they started this, their list of narratives that are very scary about the CR, that we would be so inquisitive that we would go out and find the truth behind these things. And so now it's all getting exposed. And I have to give props to the GOP, who I usually dislike because they cave so much. They just want the media to like them. They are actually standing with a backbone. Years ago, GOP would absolutely have caved narrative number one. They would have just caved and said, well, we have to get this thing done, and it's important to have bipartisan support and blah, 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 blah. So when Trump comes out this morning and he says, yeah, scrap it. We'll go nuclear on the Senate. We don't need all 60. If the Democrats are going to be radical, and that is what they are right now, they're being radical about this. And they voted for this same thing. Not that I'm happy about that, because, again, I personally would rather see a budget and no CRs. But these Democrats have voted for the same thing how many times now? The same exact spending. I do think the GOP could do one thing. They could reiterate the fact that this is Biden-era spending. This is Biden-level spending. The Democrats are basically rejecting a Biden tenant.
See, here's the problem, right? All of these problems at the very, superficial level, it's not understood that way. It's understood you're not feeding poor people who don't have any source of income. That's kind of the overarching top level narrative.
Right. But we're finding out that, American-born citizens draw on the program a lot less than foreign-born or a foreign-born head of household. So even though the children may have been born here, the head of household was an immigrant or whatever. We're finding out that it's not just, very poor, infirmed, disabled. It's not the people that it was supposed to help. Remember when it was created, 17% unemployment. Yeah. What are we at right now? So yes, are some people on SNAP working? Sure. Whether it's part-time or, they're not getting, but because we're propping up all of these companies, they don't have to pay them wages because they get the money back in the SNAP benefits when they spend their EBT card there.
Yeah.
So it's criminal what's happening. And it's a horrible circle that we've gotten ourselves into.
When we come back, we'll hear from a SNAP recipient. I wonder what they have to say. Back with EJ Host after this.
Each of us is born with 30 trillion cells that make us. These cells determine how we feel, perform, sleep, focus, and how long we live. And to live our best life, all we have to do is feed our cells properly. But most supplements don't reach our cells, keeping us from reaching our full potential. Make every cell count with Healthy Cell. Founded with a mission to empower people to take control of their own health at the most fundamental level, the cell. Dr. Vincent Gempapa, world-renowned cell researcher and medical doctor, created supplements that work at the cellular level to support immune health, better sleep, sharper focus, and healthy aging. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of any product. That's healthycell.com, HEALTHYCELL, and use code GODZILLA for 20% off.
For Virginia to grow and thrive, Governor Youngkin declared,
"We have to protect right to work."
Nearly 80% of Virginians agree. So does Winsome Earl Sears. But Abigail Spanberger thinks Virginians should have to pay union bosses just to get or keep their jobs. In fact, Spanberger voted twice in Congress to wipe out every state's right to work law nationwide. Demand she defend worker choice and support right to work. Call Abigail Spanberger, 804-223-0770. Paid for by the National Right to Work Committee.
They hate your guts. If you're listening to this message, the woke left doesn't want you to vote. They despise everything we stand for. And they know the only way they can win this election is if conservative Virginia voters like us don't show up. From the second we re-elected President Trump, they've stopped at nothing to stop us. They call us stupid. They lie their butts off. They even fantasized about murdering us. If conservatives don't vote, Jay Jones will be in charge of law enforcement, and Abigail Spanberger will decide what kind of man gets to undress next to your daughter at school. Radical DEI, insane taxes, sanctuary cities that protect criminal illegals instead of us. That's Virginia's future. Unless every conservative votes. So don't let the woke nutjobs take control of our state. Send a clear message. Make your vote count on November 4th.
I'm Winsome Earl Sears, candidate for governor, and I sponsored this ad.
Is your fur baby looking a bit rough? Transform them from shaggy to snazzy with Befur and After Pet Grooming in Marietta, Georgia. Their top-notch groomers pamper your pups with baths, custom cuts, and nail trims that'll have them strutting like show dogs. From mobile grooming vans to their cozy salon, they'll make your pet spa day a tail-wagging blast. Book now at BefurandAfterGrooming.com. Befur and After, where pets go from grr to glamorous.
Woo.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Someday, EJ, someday, we will continuously broadcast during the breaks, and it probably will. Our ratings will go sky high.
I mean, the conversations that we have off air
are fascinating.
They are
We
fun.
have great conversations on air. Speaking of which, so there have been all these clips running around. Now that $8 billion will not arrive on the EBT cards, or whatever they call them, the debit cards.
For SNAP recipients.
For 42 million SNAP recipients. They were expecting it tomorrow. It was promised tomorrow.
Yep.
It's not coming.
It's not coming. And that $8 billion number is actually very important because the emergency fund that the Democrats are trying to say Trump is withholding the emergency fund, blah, 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 which is supposed to be used for like natural disasters.
Right.
You know, EMP knocks out something
Right.
or hurricane. That's only $5 billion.
Right.
So it's not designed to be a bridge when we've got this
It's designed
kind
for
of CR problem.
like, catastrophic national emergencies.
Right.
Yeah. And it's only $5 billion.
Yeah.
And
So it's not enough.
It wouldn't. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll give you half. It would be a little more than half. Okay. So here is one SNAP recipient with a poignant comment.
So my sister made a video about how my whole entire family gets EBT. And everyone is calling us bums because we don't work and we live off the government. And we are proud of that. Growing up, this is what we were taught. We were taught to not have to work. We were taught to live off the government because it is there for us to use. And from what I could remember, it all started back with my grandparents. My grandparents used to get the paper, like the paper coupons to go and pay for, food and stuff like that. And that's when I was like, this is free money. Like, what? So living off of EBT is literally a tradition in our family. Once my grandparents passed away, my mom started, applying, and she got approved for all 6 of us kids. And then, once my sister got older, she had her first child, she applied for food stamps, and she got, it was just like, a domino effect. One after another, we all got approved for EBT. And guess what? It's not going to stop there. Why? Because I have taught my children, and I'm going to be teaching my grandchildren, that they should do the same thing. They don't have to work. They could just have children, put themselves on EBT, get child support, all of that I do so I don't have to work, they could do it themselves too.
How sad is that?
Is that real?
Yeah, and there's many videos like that. So I'm going to tell you when
That's real. It's not like, the Republicans didn't hire an actress to do that.
No. This is absolutely
She's
real.
proud of being on EBT?
I've seen many videos of people saying the same thing, that it's there for me. I'm entitled to this somehow.
I'm entitled to this, the government.
Right.
In other words, it means you and I.
Yeah.
They're entitled
to our money.
To our money. That's what they're saying.
That is exactly what they're saying. So I'm going to tell you a story. When I was a young woman and I just had my first child, and I was listening to a talk radio show. And this woman called in and said, hey, I have to tell you how this works. So we were having an EBT conversation, a SNAP conversation, a WIC conversation a long, long, long time ago.
Yeah.
Okay, because my kids are now grown adults.
Mm-hmm.
So this woman called into the radio show and basically said, hey, you've got it all wrong. Let me tell you how this works. When I married my husband, and she was from somewhere in New York City and in a poorer neighborhood, and married her husband who was significantly more wealthy. And he, they got married, got pregnant, and she immediately went to whatever the local office is to go apply for all the benefits. And they were sitting out like on the kitchen table or something. And her husband comes home and says, what is all this? What are you talking about? And she was just like, oh, well, we're pregnant, so I have to sign up for all this stuff. And he was like, no, you don't. He's like, we won't even qualify for it. What are you talking about? And this woman was stunned. She had no idea. She legitimately grew up thinking that that's what you do when you get pregnant, is you go down and you get your benefits. And he's like, I will provide. The husband said, I will provide for our family. So that woman right there, the hundreds of other videos that you can find all over TikTok and Instagram, they are real. This is something that we have institutionalized. It's a terrible tradition of dependency. Back when there was 17% unemployment,
Mm-hmm.
and FDR starts the SNAP program. Well, it wasn't SNAP at the time. It was
Something
food stamps.
else, yeah.
It was embarrassing. Nobody wanted to go to the grocery store and pull out their stamps and make sure they had enough.
Now that lady is proud of it.
She's proud of it.
How can you be proud of
a few
handout?
generations later,
Yeah.
we've created this tradition of dependency. I do find one other thing really interesting, too. These types of people, I don't know if they're exactly the same people, but this is the mentality of the people who were just a few weeks ago protesting no kings. And now they're begging their king for their cake. And I just find that fascinating that they don't see the irony in it.
They don't.
Yeah.
No, it's just a different worldview.
And it's so very sad. I just wish that they could understand how great it is to provide for yourself. You're also setting up your children for a life of dependency.
I don't think
and they won't ever succeed. They'll never do anything big.
The only thing that can be done with that group is to basically cut off their benefits.
Tough love.
Good
That's
luck.
it. I know.
EJ.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Well done.
Hey, thanks.
A nice snap analysis for us. When we come back, even more in-depth analysis. Tom Pappert watched very closely the oral arguments in the Covenant Killer Manifesto case. Our side did very well.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting to hear.
Back with more after this.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Ghazala Hashmi is masquerading as a moderate, but she's really a dangerous far-left radical. The facts? Crazy far-left groups bankroll Ghazala Hashmi's campaign, and Hashmi repeatedly voted for taxpayer-funded tuition and driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. She even co-sponsored legislation to lower the penalties for criminals who assault police officers and firefighters. Ghazala Hashmi, masquerading as a moderate, too radical for Virginia.
I'm John Reed, candidate for lieutenant governor, and I sponsored this ad.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JFRadio.
WJFN, Goochland, Bon Air, Chester, 100.5, 107.7, 92.7 FM, AM 820, and WJFB, Portsmouth, AM 1650.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The Trump administration is closing the refugee floodgates that were opened wide by the Biden administration. Team Trump is limiting to 7,500 the number of refugees admitted annually to the U.S. Many of those to be allowed in are white South Africans facing persecution in their homeland. The previous administration had set last year's refugee ceiling at 125,000. Now in its 31st day, the federal government shutdown rolls on. And with the holidays fast approaching, Vice President Vance is concerned about the growing impact on air travel.
Everybody here is very worried that we're going to see more delays, more stresses on the people who are actually making the aviation system run, and more problems for both the consumers but also the great workers who actually make this incredible shining jewel of the American economy actually work.
President Trump is calling on the Senate to resort to the so-called nuclear option, allow the filibuster to be eliminated, and Senate Republicans sidestepping the Democrats to reopen the government. They are extending a hand to their neighbors to the south.
As communities across the northern Caribbean are dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, volunteers at a warehouse in Coconut Creek, Florida, are working to assemble emergency care kits loaded with food, water, and hygiene products for hard-hit Jamaica. Susan James Casterly with Food for the Poor.
It's changed the whole landscape.
James Casterly is originally from Jamaica and plans to join relief efforts on the ground there. The storm has left many without homes, power, or communication. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The Justice Department's reportedly investigating whether leaders in the Black Lives Matter movement defrauded donors who contributed millions of dollars back in 2020. The Dow is up 116 points. NASDAQ ahead 268. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Every time I turn around, my friends at Pure Talk give me one more reason to feel good about switching. This month, for instance, they're supporting Canines for Warriors, a terrific organization that trains rescue dogs and then pairs them up with combat veterans struggling with PTSD. The result? They're saving lives on both ends of the leash. This is why I switched to Pure Talk. I like being in business with an American wireless company who shares my values. Yeah, I appreciate unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, and I bet you will too. But I think you'll really appreciate doing business with a company who gives back to the men and women who volunteered to defend our country. Just dial pound 250, say micro. With Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team, you can switch in as little as 10 minutes. Again, dial pound 250, say micro, to switch to an American wireless company who actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Sudan's paramilitary forces have reportedly killed hundreds at a hospital, including patients, after seizing the provincial capital of North Darfur.
Aid workers worried on Thursday that only a trickle of the people believed to have fled a paramilitary force that seized a city in Sudan's Darfur region have reached safety. People have been arriving at the neighboring town of Tawila after they fled on foot during the attack on El Fasher by the Rapid Support Forces. It's been reported that hundreds have been killed in the attack while making their escape. The RSF, as they're known, have been fighting troops allied to Sudan's military since 2023 in the East African nation. I'm Karen Shemas.
Hospital officials in Gaza say Israel has handed over the bodies of 30 Palestinians. This comes a day after Palestinian terrorists in Gaza turned over the remains of 2 hostages to Israel. News and analysis at townhall.com. A long-awaited museum finally opening in the Mideast.
The Grand Egyptian Museum is finally nearing its grand opening after 2 decades of anticipation. The museum, located just outside Cairo, is set to open on Saturday. It highlights ancient Egyptian civilization and aims to boost tourism, a crucial source of foreign currency for Egypt. The $1 billion facility will be the world's largest museum dedicated to a single civilization, featuring over 50,000 artifacts. Keith Peters, Washington.
The U.S. Secretary of War is telling his Chinese counterpart that the U.S. will stoutly defend its interests in the Indo-Pacific region. This happened during talks in Malaysia earlier today. Pete Hegseth describing his meeting with his Chinese counterpart as both good and constructive. More on these stories at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are delighted to welcome to our Zoom Newsmaker line right now our lead political reporter at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network, Tom Pappert. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Michael.
Well, Tom, you just published, we published late yesterday afternoon this story that you wrote, Court of Appeals Oral Argument in Covenant Case. Attorney for the Tennessee Star, that's us, says a trial court decision citing copyright claim creates a legal, quote, black hole. Now, when I talk about this case, I sometimes think I ought to have our producer, Patrick, get a clip from the old Beatles song, The Long and Winding Road, right? Because this particular case is an offshoot of the Covenant killings, where Audrey Elizabeth Hale, the 28-year-old self-identified transgender male, killed 6 young children, killed six people at Covenant School on March 27th, 2023. We wanted to get all of her writings and all of the communication for this case from the Metro Nashville Police Department and the FBI. We submitted a Tennessee Public Records Act request to get these writings, and Metro Nashville government refused to give them to us. And so we sued them wait for it, in May of 2023. Well, it went to Chancery Court, and there were other plaintiffs in the case, the Tennessee Firearms Association and a retired sheriff. We were represented by America First Legal, and they were represented by Judicial Watch. And the players on it, on the other side, it was basically Metro Nashville government was basically the defendant. But then the judge, Chancery Court Judge Leahy Miles, said, well, let's bring some interveners in. And so they brought the Covenant School and a trust set up for the Covenant parents. It's very complicated. The bottom line on this, as you know, is we then obtained through legal methods about 120 pages of the Covenant Killers' writings from 2023. We published them in June. We didn't publish those 120 pages. We published stories based on those. And because we published those stories, a Weasley correspondent, jealous of what we'd done at WSMV, Stacey Cameron with News Channel 5, called up the judge and said, you ought to look at Leahy and charge him with contempt of court. And she hauled me into court for a full day and never cited what the problem was. I had to pay a lot of money to a very good attorney to defend me in that hearing. She never brought up the question about or never answered the question of that I had done that was in violation of anything from the court. There wasn't anything. But I spent the whole day in court, spent a lot of money on an attorney. And she ended up never pressing that issue because she had nothing to press on it. But on July 4th, so you can continue the story from here, Tom, what did the judge rule on July 4th, 2024 in this case?
Well, of course, that was after the judge allowed to intervene the Covenant Children's Trust, who claimed on copyright grounds that the manifesto should never be released. And that is what the judge ruled. She ruled there were three elements going on. Number one, the case was ongoing. Believe it or not, the case had still been ongoing for well over a year at that point, and the judge said that was a good reason why the document should not be released. That reason is gone. The judge also said, however, that this issue was the premier issue of the day, and that the manifesto could never be released because the copyright was apparently owned by the Covenant Children's Trust. This is as I read Judge Miles' order. Now, that may no longer be the case, we learned yesterday, but because this copyright ownership matter existed, essentially, the public could never view one single page of the ruling until the end of time. She also included some arguments suggesting that this was a school safety issue, and that should be an exception to the Tennessee Public Records Act, because throughout all 2,050 some odd pages that Hale wrote, on every single page there was something about a school. I can personally say, having read about 800 of these pages, Michael, that is a fantastic and incorrect idea.
Yeah, it is absolutely wrong. Now, our attorney in this case, that we have a great attorney with America First Legal who handled the trial court case. His name is Nick Berry. And so we were represented by America First Legal. And Paul Krogh is a specialist, a graduate of Notre Dame Law School. He's a specialist in appellate cases. And so he represented us in the argument before this special three-judge panel yesterday. Tell us a little bit about that panel briefly, and then I want to get to the beginning of Paul's argument before this panel.
Well, what's interesting, Michael, is the panel was actually from three judges from the Eastern Tennessee Court of Appeals. It seems as though the Middle District judges recused for reasons that are not entirely clear. Again, it was three judges, one in particular, Judge Christy Davis, really did, I would say, 99% of the questioning and she was very pointed and very expansive in her questioning toward the attorneys representing the Covenant Children's Trust, the Covenant School, and Metro Nashville. In fact, I would say that they were the recipients of all except one question from the judges. The other two judges were actually Judge Wesley McClarty and Judge Thomas Frierson were actually completely silent.
No,
I
they
think
didn't say very
McClarty maybe
much.
said two things throughout
at
the
all.
hearing.
Let's get the argument against the copyright claim made by our attorney, Paul Krug, who did a great job. Here we go. Let's play this clip right now.
Further, you may proceed.
May it please the court, my name is Paul Krog on behalf of the petitioners. The trial court held that the Tennessee Public Records Act was preempted by the Copyright Act of 1976. No federal court and no appellate court in any jurisdiction has ever held that the Copyright Act preempts an Open Records Act, and the trial court was wrong to do so and should be reversed. Implied conflict preemption, the species of preemption invoked by the trial court, applies when a state claim or a state law impairs the exploitation of rights conferred by the Copyright Act or interferes with the proper functioning of the copyright system. And that's a standard taken from Jackson versus Roberts, Second Circuit opinion that we cite in the briefs. And two, if that claim or law doesn't further a substantial state interest distinct from copyright. Now, generally, this occurs when some state law modifies the array of rights the Copyright Act creates, such as by allowing someone, again quoting Jackson, quote, to exert control over a work within the subject matter of the Copyright Act under a mechanism different from the one instituted by the law of copyright. What's curious here, Your Honors, is that this is precisely what the trial court's ruling does, not what the petitioner's claim seeks. And we can understand this if we look at the detailed opinion from the Northern District of California, also discussed in our brief, X Corp versus Bright Data Limited. In that case, the plaintiff sued the defendant for data scraping content out of tweets. And the claim was held preempted by the California federal court. And the court invoked three principles to demonstrate why this was necessary.
Okay, we'll get to those principles in a bit. Tom, that was a masterclass in how to present a brief, I thought. Your thoughts?
It was very impressive, and it just went uphill for Mr. Krog. I would say the other attorneys representing the other side did not have as successful a day.
Yeah, and we'll demonstrate that in our next segment. Back with Tom Pappert after this.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
It's simple. No worker should ever be forced to pay money to a union boss just to get or keep a job. That's why hard-working Virginians overwhelmingly support right to work and agree that forced unionism is wrong. The good news is Republican gubernatorial candidate Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl-Sears has pledged 100% to defend Virginia's popular right to work law and the economic opportunity that it provides. Unfortunately, her opponent, Abigail Spanberger, can't say the same. In Congress, Spanberger repeatedly co-sponsored legislation legislation that would have wiped out every right-to-work law in the country, including Virginia's. Her record shows she supports big labor's agenda and their plan to repeal Virginia's popular right-to-work law. It's time for Abigail Spanberger to change her ways and apologize for support of forced unionism. Call Abigail Spanberger now and urge her to pledge to protect Virginia's right-to-work law. 804-223-0770. Here's what Governor Glenn Youngkin had to say.
We have to protect right to work.
This ad was paid for by the National Right to Work Committee.
Ghazala Hashmi is masquerading as a moderate, but she's really a dangerous far-left radical. The facts? Crazy far-left groups bankroll Ghazala Hashmi's campaign, and Hashmi repeatedly voted for taxpayer-funded tuition and driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. She even co-sponsored legislation to lower the penalties for criminals who assault police officers and firefighters. Ghazala Hashmi, masquerading as a moderate, too radical for Virginia.
I'm John Reed, candidate for Lieutenant Governor, and I sponsored this ad.
Is your fur baby looking a bit rough? Transform them from shaggy to snazzy with Be Fur and After Pet Grooming in Marietta, Georgia. Their top-notch groomers pamper your pups with baths, custom cuts, and nail trims that'll have them strutting like show dogs. From mobile grooming vans to their cozy salon, they'll make your pet's spa day a tail-wagging blast. Book now at BeFurandAfterGrooming.com. Be Fur and After, where pets go from grr to glamorous.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Now more than ever, President Trump needs battle-tested conservatives fighting alongside him to save our country. That's why Trump endorsed Matt Van Epps for Congress. West Point grad, 9 combat tours, decorated Army vet. Matt Van Epps has devoted his life to defending America and the conservative values we cherish. Endorsed by Trump, fearless conservative. Tennessee's Matt Van Epps for Congress. School Freedom Fund is responsible for the content of this ad.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
So we're talking to Tom Pappert about the oral arguments in the state case. Our appeal, my appeal, the Tennessee Star's appeal, to the Chancery Court decision in July of 2024 to deny us, we think in violation of the Tennessee Public Records Act, all of the writings of the Covenant Killer, called the Covenant Killer Manifesto. It's a couple thousand pages, and all the communications between Metro Nashville Police Department and the FBI. Now, just as an aside, Tom, to set the stage for this, we also sued the FBI in federal court. And in federal court, we, Judicial Watch also sued them. And they gave us, basically, before we settled with them, they gave us all of the documents that we had legally obtained for 2023 of the Covenant Killer Manifesto. And then they promised that if we settled with them, that they would give us all the rest of the 2,000 pages. And they've honored that promise. So we have now, I guess, 800 of the 2,000 pages? And they're slowly dribbling out. And you've read all those 800 pages, right?
That's about right. Now, of course, we released the first 120. That was Hale's most recent writings up until maybe minutes before her attack. Those are completely unredacted. The FBI versions you can also read on TennesseeStar.com. Again, about 850 pages total. 730 or so are unique that have not been previously released. And to their credit, under FBI Director Kash Patel, they seem to be keeping their word.
Yeah.
It's taking a little bit longer than some would like, but they are releasing the files.
So we have a lot of these documents from our lawsuit against the FBI in federal court. So we know what's in them. We know a lot of what's in them. And then, but we've not gotten any documents that are in the possession of Metro Nashville Police Department or Metro Nashville government. That's what this lawsuit's about. But the lawsuit's about more, because we're also asking for all the communications between the FBI and Metro Nashville. And as you know, that's a treasure trove, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what we've already found should be everybody in the country should be talking about this. Granted, again, things may be a little bit different under Director Patel, but the legacy tokens memo, this memo that essentially is an instruction to local police departments, in this case from the FBI to Metro Nashville, saying never release these writings. In fact, there's precedent for destroying them. We don't think the public is smart enough to understand what a serial killer, what a mass murderer wrote, so therefore we believe in censorship. That's just one file that we obtained as part of our investigative reporting. If we get the full breadth of what was originally sent by the FBI, Michael, just imagine what gems are going to be hidden there.
Yeah, and so the deal on this is that we want to see that. We did obtain legally that memo, the legacy token memo that you talk about, I think back, it was dated in May of 2023, and we published elements of it, or the details of it in June of 2024. There's more to it, and that's what we want in this state lawsuit against Metro Nashville government. Now, the other part about that is so bizarre. Let's talk about copyright law and copyright infringement. Copyright is expressly in the Constitution the purview of the national federal government. State government has nothing to do with it. Point number one. Point number two, if you want to file a copyright infringement claim, you've got to register all of your writings, and then you can file a copyright infringement claim. That's point number two. And then, so we've got all that going on. And in this instance, nowhere in Tennessee Public Records Act is there any mention of a copyright exception to release of documents. There is a school security exception, right? That is mentioned, and that was addressed to some degree by one of the attorneys for the Covenant School, I think, in this hearing. Now, I suppose I need to do a full disclosure on this, right? So, the Covenant Trust is represented. Well, explain what the Covenant Trust is and how that alleged ownership of all these documents written by Audrey Elizabeth Hale came about.
Well, it's rather confusing, Michael, because all of the previous reporting until yesterday said that this is how it worked. The parents of Audrey Hale inherited the copyright ownership to the mass murderer's writings, to the school shooter's writings, and they then transferred this ownership to a subsection of parents at the Covenant School, who then assigned the copyright ownership to the Covenant Children's Trust, a legal entity that exists to protect their rights. Now, under questioning from Judge Davis yesterday, the attorney representing the school, I believe, or maybe it was the attorney representing the parents, Michael.
The Covenant Trust, yeah.
Right, the trust itself made the argument that, in fact, the parents continue to own the writings. It is they who are protecting their copyright, but they have assigned the duty to protect this copyright to the Children's Trust. The reason why this is so important is because Judge Davis is questioning whether, essentially, she seemed to be questioning whether this trust, these parents, should have been allowed to intervene in the case in the method they were able to, by allowing these individual parents to intervene, represented by the Covenant's Trust.
Let's go right to that.
Judge Davis seemed to think it should be the trust itself involved in the lawsuit.
Tom, let's go to that right now.
Laura Fox will be speaking on behalf of Metro. I intend to address the copyright argument and the victim rights amendment. The victim rights amendment argument. Mr. King is going to address the school safety exception, and Ms. Fox is going to address the Rule 16 issues and also share Metro's position on copyright, which is consistent with the parents' position.
Have you allocated your time?
Yes, Your Honor. We will have 6 minutes for myself, 6 minutes for Mr. King, and 3 minutes for Ms. Fox.
Okay. You may proceed.
Thank you. May it please the court, Eric Osborne on behalf of Sherrod Rowe. I think this case is actually amazingly simple, and I am happy to stand here and to defend the Chancellor's opinion. I find it curious that opposing counsel would say we did not defend it. One huge key point of copyright law, perhaps the most important point of copyright law, is the right to control publication, including the right not to publish and not display. This is a very fundamental right that authors and creators of content have. They have the right to decide if their material will be made available to the public or not. And the United States Supreme Court has spoken on this issue and has spoken clearly in the 1985 case of Harper and Row versus Nation Enterprises. Now, that case dealt with the unpublished memoirs of former President Ford, and the Nation magazine had obtained certain portions of that and had published them. And in that case, the court was unanimous, and I would really encourage the bench to review that because there is so much language, 7 or 8 pages, about how important the right to not publish is, how fundamental it is, citing historical treatises going back hundreds of years. Just a few things that I'll note is that...
Let me interrupt you for a second. My larger concern with the use of copyright in general in this case as an exception to the Public Records Act is twofold. Number one, do we, and we being the trial court, whoever hears it, does that not turn this into sort of a de facto copyright infringement action under the guise of being a Public Records Act request? But when the result is the trial court has to decide things like, is there a valid copyright? If so, is the use of it that's proposed infringement? If so, are there exceptions? Is it fair use? And is that what we want our state trial courts to do? That's number one. Number two, if that's the way it should go, did the chancellor in this case even do that? Because it looks to me like she just said copyright exception, infringement, but certainly no analysis of potential defense of fair use.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the simple answer is that you never even get to fair use when you have an author of an unpublished material who has asserted their right not to have that material published. Fair use comes in when material is out and is weighed at that point.
Okay, well, we'll stop right here. You can see the crumbling of the argument of the covenant trust right there, Tom.
Yes, I would say that, and again, it's just downhill from here for that side of the argument.
And we'll get more of that argument when we come back. Back after this.
Get in. We're stealing homes. We're not like those other home criminals that steal your stuff. We steal your hard-earned home equity. We find your property online from the public record. Got it. Create a deed transfer that makes us the homeowners. Got it. Then borrow tons of cash against your equity, and you won't know till the foreclosure notice hits months later.
Just go to HometitleLock.com/Godzilla. Protect yourself.
You've seen the news about Radical Jay Jones, the Democrat who wanted his opponent assassinated.
Jay Jones hoped a Republican's children would die in their mother's arms.
Jay Jones said police needed to die to advance his political agenda.
That's why every law enforcement group called on Jay Jones to withdraw from the race for Attorney General.
But Jay Jones is still in the race.
The only way to stop Jay Jones is for you to vote.
You can vote early in person right now or on Election Day, Tuesday, November 4th.
Log on to votenowva.com to find out hours and locations of where you can cast your ballot today. Again, go to votenowva.com.
Vote early, vote now, vote before November 4th for our Attorney General Jason Miyares.
This election is an easy choice. Jason Miyares is the people's protector.
And Jay Jones is too liberal and too damn soft on criminals.
Jay Jones is unacceptable for Virginia.
I'm Jason Miyares, candidate for Attorney General, and this ad was sponsored by Miyares for Virginia.
They hate your guts. If you're listening to this message, the woke left doesn't want you to vote. They despise everything we stand for. And they know the only way they can win this election is if conservative Virginia voters like us don't show up. From the second we re-elected President Trump, they've stopped at nothing to stop us. They call us stupid. They lie their butts off. They even fantasized about murdering us. If conservatives don't vote, Jay Jones will be in charge of law enforcement, and Abigail Spanberger will decide what kind of man gets to undress next to your daughter at school. Radical DEI, insane taxes, sanctuary cities that protect criminal illegals instead of us. That's Virginia's future. Unless every conservative votes. So don't let the woke nutjobs take control of our state. Send a clear message. Make your vote count on November 4th.
I'm Winsome Earl Sears, candidate for governor, and I sponsored this ad.
Is your pet ready for some possum fun? At Creekside Pet Hotel in Kennesaw, every day is a tail-wagging adventure. Whether they're romping with friends in day camp, enjoying a staycation in our cozy boarding, or getting pampered in our luxury spa, we make sure every furry guest gets the royal treatment. Happy pets, wagging tails, and the best care. What more could they ask for? Book your pet's perfect getaway today at creeksidepethotel.com or give us a call at 770-422-4700.
I flew 9 combat tours taking out terrorists.
Matt Van Epps, America First warrior.
When my Chinook took enemy fire, I kept her in the air, got our guys, and completed the mission.
Matt Van Epps, American hero.
Now I'm on a new mission to help Trump save America. I'm Matt Van Epps. I approve this message because I know what to do with terrorists. So these woke wannabes in Washington better take cover.
Matt Van Epps, the conservative warrior Trump needs.
Paid for by Matt Van Epps for Congress. This is Michael Patrick Leahy. Join Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr, Senator Marsha Blackburn, Congressman Tim Burchett, and Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs and me at T-Bones and Politics 2025 on the evening of November 10th in Murfreesboro for a night of great food, good fellowship, and inspiring political speeches. Get your tickets now. They're going fast at tbonesandpolitics2025.com. This is a great annual event. This year, musical entertainment will be provided by the Tremolo Honey Band. If you haven't heard them before, they are absolutely fantastic. This special event is sponsored by Barrett Firearms, Old South SRM, Moody Excavating, Azure Flight Management, and SEC Engineers. So go right now to tbonesandpolitics2025.com and get your tickets for T-Bones and Politics. It's an evening of great food and fun on November 10th. I'll see you there. Paid for by Joe Pack, William Ronsley, Treasurer.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall & Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Tom Pappert on our Zoom Newsmaker line. Tom, now, I think we need to remind our listeners about some of the unusual elements of some of the participants in this case, okay? We'll get to the destruction of the copyright argument here by Judge Davis, or at least I thought it was destruction. You thought, I mean, it continues. She's pretty clear that she's not really buying that argument, it seems to me.
I think I sent you a text message about halfway through the hearing, Michael, and I just said, this is not going well for the other side.
No,
and I
it's
think
not.
that remains my takeaway a day later.
So, Tom, this is a little bit in full disclosure. So Eric Osborne is a very fine attorney. And interestingly enough, now he's a partner with the firm Sherrard & Rowe. We recognize Sherrard & Rowe because another guy there, Roscoe the son
Roscoe Dean.
Roscoe Dean, yeah, thank you. The son of the former mayor is representing, wait for it, Kilmar Abrego Garcia in the human smuggling case here, the criminal case. So there's that. So Eric Osborne, fine attorney, a friend of mine. I first interacted with him in June of 2024 when I was hauled into court by the trial court judge, ostensibly to see if there was any criminal of court, contempt of court reasons to put me in jail for 10 days. She had no basis for that, and we never even got to that in the hearing. She talked about something else entirely. And but she did a roundtable on that day, and she asked all the attorneys there whether or not they thought that she should put me in jail. And I didn't know Eric Osborne at the time, and he said, "No, Your Honor." So I'm always appreciative of that. Right. But the rest of the story is, and I didn't know this at all, but he was my contracts law professor in first year. I started in August of that year at Nashville School of Law, and a very good professor. I got a B+ in the course, so and we become friends. We talk frequently. In fact, I think we are trying to have. We're talking to him about coming in every week to give us some insights into the law. So I have a good relationship with him, but he's on the other side, and he and I have not talked about the case. But in this particular instance, I can tell you and our audience that the copyright argument floated here is just beyond ridiculous. And it turns out, Tom, that it seems to me that Judge Davis seemed to be following that same path. Your thoughts, and then we'll play some more clips on this.
Well, Michael, you could tell that he is a very good attorney from the way that he presented himself. He was the first one up to speak for the side of never release the documents. But I think you could be the best attorney in the world. I mean, the kind of meme name is Johnny Cochran. They could bring Johnny Cochran out, and it simply wouldn't do anything if the case wasn't very good. And I think that's what's happening here. This is a situation where a low-level trial judge completely got it wrong. And so now that essentially some adults are in the room, this is all my opinion, this 3-judge panel is reviewing the case, it's defending the indefensible, Michael. They've created a situation where any government document ever, say the Kilmar Abrego Garcia body cam video that we got earlier this year, they could have said, well, that was an individual who was recording that, and the way that he moved his body was creative in the way that the video was recorded, and so therefore that body cam video is a copyrightable work that cannot be released due to a copyright exception that we have just created in the Tennessee Public Records Act.
Out of thin air, because the Tennessee General Assembly has never said, oh yeah, you can assert copyright even though you don't register it, and that creates an exception for releasing documents in the state of Tennessee. Now, let's go back to the argument. So Judge Davis, very accomplished. She's out of Knoxville, University of Tennessee School of Law, was on the law review there. You can tell she's very sharp. Let's continue as the argument continues to go downhill for the other side in this case.
The right to publish and the right to make the materials available for inspection, that is effectively what the TPRA sets forth, because it requires that the document custodian give copies of documents.
Well, it requires that the document custodian make them available for inspection.
Correct, Your Honor. It has both. It has both the inspection and copies.
So then you have a whole discussion about whether that is that publication, is that display, is that copying? It becomes a little mini copyright trial that I'm concerned about our level of expertise.
I think, Your Honor, that's
on that.
I understand that concern. I think that's why copyright should simply be an exception, is that if copyright is an exception, because it's a federal statute that governs these writings, then the exception should be applied. That way, chancery courts and trial courts, they don't need to worry about fair use. They don't need to write copyright rules. Instead, document custodians like Metro here, when they come into copyrighted material that's requested, and the copyright owner asserts a right not to have that released, particularly when it's unpublished, it simply needs to be an exception, and that is what the trial courts can apply. And it's a really clean test when you do it that way.
The concern on the other side, which your opposing counsel expressed, is that, hey, now everything is copyrighted material and we don't have to release anything, because you don't have to go through the process to have something declared copyrighted. It is copyrighted. It's just if you're going to pursue an infringement action, you have to do that. But what's to prevent then Metro or anyone else from saying, hey, this is a work, it's a writing, it's a document, it's whatever, created by a third person. It's automatically copyrighted by virtue of the fact that we didn't create it. So we're not going to produce it. It's an exception.
Well, I think that's actually going to be a lot rarer than opposing counsel suggests.
Okay, let's just stop. Now, this is an example where, Tom, an attorney, a good attorney, kind of creates ideas out of whole cloth. What is the likelihood that pretty much everybody who has content that's been created, that's part of an investigation, will assert a copyright claim? And then if there is a made-up copyright exception, then that wouldn't be able to be released. It would entirely destroy the Open Records Acts, it seems to me. Your thoughts, Tom Pappert?
You know, Michael, I just have to quickly add, and I don't mean to be mean, I know this is a friend of yours, but the very next words that came out of the attorney's mouth there were, I may not be the world's penultimate expert on copyright law, or something to that effect. I just had to point that out, because to me this is obvious that every government entity, every individual, anybody and everybody is going to use this new little loophole that was created if it is allowed to stand by the Tennessee Court of Appeals. If you are a government agency and it is the bias of any government agency not to let people look at what they're doing. They don't like Public Records Act, and we wouldn't either. If there was a Public Records Act that said that people could investigate the Tennessee Star and see our emails to each other, we would do everything we could not to release those. We should not be artificially, through the courts, creating by fiat new excuses for governments not to release public documents, and that's exactly what this is.
Yeah. Now let's kind of continue with the next argument. The attorney for the Covenant School said, well, there is an exception called the school security exception, and the judge properly had the authority to determine on her own whether all of these writings, these 2,000 pages, contained, all of them, he says, contained school security information. Well, you've looked at it, Tom. Is that a true statement by this attorney?
Absolutely not, Michael. Maybe every 15 pages you will see a map, and even that is it's way less than that. Yes, she is planning to commit an attack. No, there is not an operational map, then an A, B, C, D to-do list. It's nothing like that. These are the ramblings of a crazy woman. It is not a threat to school safety.
Then the Metro Nashville attorney, Laura Fox, made the ridiculous claim that Audrey Elizabeth Hale was an artist like Taylor Swift, and her copyright should be... She actually said something like that, right?
Yes, she did. The argument was that, well, this is Nashville. Everybody in Nashville is a wannabe artist or singer-songwriter, and so everybody has an unwritten, unfinished song in their drawer. And if Metro Nashville should happen to have a song like that in their possession from a famous female songwriter, well, it would be in the interest of that famous female songwriter to not have her copyright violated. Again, comparing Audrey Hale, a school killer of 6, 3 children and 3 3 adults, just like Taylor Swift when it comes
crazy.
to copyright law.
Yeah, 3 judges, a decision 8 weeks, 12 weeks sometime. How do you think this is going to go? We've got a minute.
Michael, I think it's going to go completely in the side of people who want these documents released, and I think it could come quickly. It was actually Judge McClarity at the end of the hearing said that we should expect a ruling in a reasonable amount of time. And when they're that vague, I think that means quickly.
When we come back, Tom, Schoology, LGBTQ History Month, being pushed apparently by Metro Nashville Public Schools surreptitiously. Well, that's not good. Back with Tom Pappard after this.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Executive Director of the American Constitutional Rights Union Action Fund, and this is a Live Free Minute. Just this month, an illegal immigrant in Virginia was convicted of raping an 11-year-old girl after breaking into her home. On any given day, there are hundreds of illegal immigrants in Virginia jails who have committed violent crimes. Yet there are politicians who openly advocate for protecting these criminal illegal immigrants and who wish to make Virginia a sanctuary for them. Our constitutional republic is dependent on adherence to the rule of law. Our founders could not have imagined that there would be politicians who will be so bold as to campaign against it. I encourage you to vote this election to protect public safety and the rule of law. This Live Free Minute is sponsored by the American Constitutional Rights Union Action Fund. We empower Americans to live free. And for more information, go to acruaction.com.
If you plan on voting for the Republicans in Virginia in November, vote early. That is the key to victory. Let's hear what Governor Youngkin has to say.
We have to get the vote out, and you have to vote early. Something could happen on Election Day, and you will miss it, and we can't afford to miss it. SecureYourVoteVirginia.com is ready to help you make a plan to vote early. Get out and vote. Every single vote counts. Go to SecureYourVoteVirginia.com and make a plan to vote early.
Early voting is underway. The time to vote is now. Paid for by Spirit of Virginia. The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
Mandami visited a very controversial Brooklyn mosque just months after the imam there called for the annihilation of Israel. Your thoughts?
This is a total failure of the media, the journalists, and the Democratic Party to confront this kid with his own background. He's a rabid socialist.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
He gave the finger to the Columbus statue.
Right. I can't almost think of any group he hasn't offended.
Silence is tacit support. When a Chesterfield school board member celebrated a political assassination, Leslie Mehta was silent. When death threats were made against members of the House of Delegates, Leslie Mehta was silent. And when her political ally Jay Jones talked about shooting the former House Speaker and seeing his children dead, Leslie Mehta said nothing. She still supports him. If you can't speak with moral clarity on issues that are clear, you have no business leading our community. And Mehta's record speaks volumes. She wants more high-rise apartments in Chesterfield, crowding our schools, jamming our roads, and making life harder. She defended letting men compete in girls' sports and use women's locker rooms. And she opposed school resource officers, making kids less safe. Leslie Mehta's silence and her agenda are too extreme for Chesterfield.
I'm Mark Early, candidate for delegate, and my campaign sponsored this ad.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com, listen to Michael Patrick Leahy, and make America great again.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. On our Zoom newsmaker line right now, Tom Pappert. Tom, our lead political reporter, you broke a big story, and now it's up our lead story at the Tennessee Star right now, TennesseeStar.com. LGBTQIA History Month lessons reportedly distributed by Metro Nashville Public Schools. Let's see. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual History Month. Oh, my goodness. So tell us about this story.
Well, Michael, it's very interesting. We've talked about it a little bit on the show before, but this is everything we've learned. This came to us from a tipster who sent us 4 images that appeared to be from a Metro Nashville Public Schools computer, specifically the Schoology computer program. They call this a learning management software. It's where teachers go to input their grades, their attendance reports, all of this sort of grunt work that teachers have to do. But what apparently was added to Schoology for the month of October was a series of lessons for LGBTQIA plus History Month. This is unofficially observed in the month of October, has been since about 1995 by the National Education Association, interestingly enough. And Michael, we have 2 lessons, one about the lavender scare, which is, I consider it spurious. I'm sure historians consider it a real deal. It's a concept that dates back to about 2004, and it essentially claims that as those poor communists, of course, those poor downtrodden, innocent people in the 1950s who were being victimized by the Red Scare. Well, during this, there was also a lavender scare, apparently, in which gay and lesbian individuals were forced out of their government jobs due to concerns about potential security issues and blackmail due to their sexual identity. So they talk about this, and they only say at the very end of the lesson, Michael, oh, and by the way, the government did eventually undo this, but isn't this a horrible thing? They then go into the Pulse nightclub shooting, which they describe. Of course, it was a horrible tragedy, 49 people killed. While they were eager to lay the blame for the lavender scare on the U.S. government, they completely omitted that the individual who committed the Pulse nightclub shooting back in 2016 was an Islamist who called 911 after committing his attack and swore allegiance to ISIS, and specifically the leader of ISIS. So it seems to me that this is sort of a pattern of one-sided, America is bad, look at how they victimized LGBTQIA people. This is important because there's 2 executive orders signed by President Trump earlier this year that forbid this, that essentially say we're going to take your funding away if you teach gender ideology or if you teach that the United States is an inherently evil entity. What's interesting about this, Michael, is initially we thought that this might have been distributed by Schoology, this national platform. It's in about 90 of the top 100 school districts in the United States. But doing some digging, some literal visual physical forensics, you can see on one of these documents, listeners can see it on TennesseeStar.com right now, what appears to be part of a Metro Nashville Public School logo on one of the documents. So we reached out to Schoology and said, did you create this or did you distribute it on behalf of somebody else? They replied to us very succinctly that the company cannot comment on the school district's use of this product. Now, this seems to me as though they're throwing Metro Nashville Public Schools under the bus, and they're saying that it was Metro Nashville that created and distributed this product. So we've reached out to Metro Nashville. They did not respond. We reached out to the Tennessee Department of Education, which must authorize 4 packages of textbooks and curriculum that school districts in Tennessee can choose from every year. Interestingly enough, we don't know whether these lessons are part of this overall curriculum that is selected at the state level, or whether this is supplemental instructional material that they could sort of slide in under the radar. But we've also reached out to the U.S. Department of Education because, again, there are two major executive orders by Trump defending women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring biological truth, as well as his second executive order on the same exact matter, but in schools, which would seem to me to directly create the potential for an investigation that could strip funding. I think in order for that investigation to occur, a parent or a teacher at Metro Public Schools would need to file a complaint.
Yeah, and or actually just a general member of the public. And I think it's quite likely such a complaint may be filed now that our story is out there. And then, it's going to be the Department of Education, the Trump administration looking into Metro Nashville Public Schools. They're not going to want anybody looking into it. But I think the bottom line that you've showed here is that the Schoology system can be used to distribute curriculum that can be used by teachers to teach kids stuff that they're not supposed to be taught. Your thoughts on that as we close out, Tom Pappert?
We might have exposed a loophole, Michael. The General Assembly has attempted to rein in the type of radical teaching materials seen in classrooms, but apparently you can create a document at the district level, call it a supplemental material, upload it to Schoology, send it to every teacher in the district, all without the good people, the good parents of Nashville understanding what's going on.
Tom Pappert, excellent reporting. As always, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Michael. It's always a pleasure.
Up next, a full hour devoted to why federal district court judge in Washington, D.C., James Boasberg, should be impeached and could be convicted and removed as a judge. Back after this.
John Frederick, your Godzilla of truth, fiercely independent.
No ties to Wall Street, I promote Main Street.
The John Frederick Media Network, privately owned and operated, on top of the issues on air and online.
Trucking the truth every day for 14 years.
The John Frederick Show drives your morning, weekdays 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern. The only independent White House correspondent with live reports from the White House. Hit johnfredericksradio.com. Watch at jfmn.tv. John Frederick, your Godzilla of truth in America.
Ghazala Hashmi is masquerading as a moderate, but she's really a dangerous far-left radical. The facts? Crazy far-left groups bankroll Ghazala Hashmi's campaign, and Hashmi repeatedly voted for taxpayer-funded tuition and driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. She even co-sponsored legislation to lower the penalties for criminals who assault police officers and firefighters. Ghazala Hashmi, masquerading as a moderate, too radical for Virginia.
I'm John Reed, candidate for Lieutenant Governor, and I sponsored this ad.
The Cats and Cosby Show.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories.
Mandami visited months after the imam there called for the annihilation of Israel. Your thoughts?
This is a total failure of the media, the journalists, and the Democratic Party to confront this kid with his own background. He's a rabid socialist.
Cats and Cosby, 5 Eastern, 4 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
He gave the finger to the Columbus statue.
Right. I can't almost think of any group he hasn't offended.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social.
Get your truth by the truckload from America's Godzilla of Truth, The John Fredericks Show, weekdays 5 to 9 a.m. on WENO Nashville, KQPN West Memphis.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. As the government shutdown continues now for nearly a month, major airline executives met with Vice President Vance at the White House on Thursday to communicate their concerns. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says the shutdown is making life hard for air traffic controllers and technicians alike.
A lot of our people can go through the myth of one paycheck, and it's hard for them, but a lot of them can get through it. None of them can get through 2 paychecks. And so, again, if Democrats don't get their act together very quickly, you're going to see huge problems. And again, I would come to them with a clean heart and say, open up the government, and then let's have a conversation.
President Trump has an admonition of his own, quote, get rid of the filibuster and get rid of it now. That's what he wrote on Truth Social, urging Senate Republicans to deploy the so-called nuclear option and actually end the 60-vote filibuster requirement so they can pass a funding bill to get the government back up and running. If inside sources are correct, the DOJ now wants to know if Black Lives Matter kept clean books or not. 5 years ago, here's correspondent Ben Thomas.
Donors contributed tens of millions of dollars to the Black Lives Matter movement during the 2020 protests. Now, multiple people familiar with the matter tell AP the Justice Department is investigating whether the movement's leaders defrauded those donors. In recent years, they have faced criticism about their public accounting of donations. And in recent weeks, federal law enforcement officials have issued subpoenas and warrants as part of the investigation. Ben Thomas, Washington.
Jamaica's death toll has now risen to 49 after Hurricane Melissa devastated areas there, such as Black River and other communities. Extensive destruction includes destroyed homes, downed power lines, flooded neighborhoods, and mud-covered streets. It's been up and down on Wall Street. Right now, the Dow is off 20 points, and NASDAQ up 153. More of these stories at townhall.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
Here's Rich Thomason with the Midday Wall Street Business Report.
Silicon Valley chipmaker NVIDIA is partnering with the South Korean government. It will supply its graphics processing units for projects with the South Korean government and its business community as well. The goal is to advance South Korea's artificial intelligence infrastructure and AI technologies. When he visits Washington, D.C. next week, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban hopes to persuade President Trump to exempt Hungary from new U.S. sanctions on Russian oil. The Trump administration announced sanctions recently targeting Russian oil firms. Those sanctions would affect foreign oil buyers like Hungary. Wall Street headed higher in today's early going after some familiar names in the tech sector reported stronger than expected quarterly results. I'm Rich Thomason.
You'll find breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. A British prince has officially fallen from grace. The BBC's Helena Wilkinson reports on the new fate of Andrew Windsor.
He's been formally stripped of his titles, no longer a prince. And he's losing his home, Royal Lodge in Windsor Great Park, the 30-room sprawling mansion where he's lived for more than 20 years. He'll move to Sandringham in Norfolk, a property privately owned by the King. It's understood the decisions were made by the King and that Andrew did not object to the loss of his titles. He likely won't have had much choice.
That is the BBC's Helena Wilkinson reporting. Climbing monthly electric bills, growing stressor on U.S. families as demand surges for energy, and have emerged now as a significant issue in the nation's only 2 elections for governor this year. It is a test on the political parties' messaging for next year's midterms. You'll find more of these stories at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back. We're going to talk right now for this entire segment about the calls to impeach federal district judge James Boasberg. He's the chief judge in the District of Columbia. And I think he should be impeached, and I think he should be convicted. And I'll tell you why. Let's begin right now with a couple of clips. One is from John Solomon talking about this Arctic frost operation that involved the Department of Justice under Biden, the FBI, and a cooperative federal district judge, James Boasberg.
The FBI is internally now investigating some of its own personnel for their conduct in Arctic frost, meaning they're looking at the possibility their own agents engaged in criminality by opening up this investigation or conducting or doing things in the investigation. The entire unit that ran this has been dismantled. Every agent that played a role in this has been fired. This is unlike the FBI in the past, which would just sweep things under the rug and say, nothing to look here. There is accountability internally going on. And if the FBI refers people for prosecution, Pam Bondi will be able to do to maybe people who committed crimes here what she's now done for James Comey and John Bolton and Letitia James. And I suspect with the referral that happened earlier this week, John Brennan could be someone who's facing an indictment soon as well. So you're getting an accountability lens, which never happened in the first Trump administration. People got away with all sorts of crimes in the first Trump administration. No one really got anything more than a slap on the wrist. This time, you're starting to see real accountability, firings.
And Ted Cruz had something to say about Judge Boasberg signing off on subpoenas to secure his phone records and then issuing a judicial order that said, that told the telecom providers that they were prohibited from telling Ted Cruz about this invasion of his privacy for 1 year. And in that, Cruz called for the impeachment of Judge Boasberg. Let's go and hear this right now.
I am right now calling on the House of Representatives to impeach Judge Boasberg. Judge Boasberg put his robe down, stood up and said, sign me up to be part of the partisan vendetta against 20% of the Republicans in the Senate. That is a dereliction of duty and a violation of the judicial oath. And I want to thank Chairman Grassley and Chairman Johnson for pursuing this tenaciously like a dog on a bone. We are going to get the answers of every person who signed off on this abuse of power, and mark my words, there will be accountability for these zealots who wanted to corrupt the Department of Justice and corrupt the judiciary in order to try to attack their enemies list.
Okay, so let's talk about the impeachment and conviction of a federal district judge. So let's start with the Constitution. Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution said that federal judges may be impeached and removed for treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Now, Article 3, remember Article 3 is the part of the Constitution that deals with the judicial branch, right? Article 3, Section 1 further states that judges, quote, shall hold their offices during good behavior. That now, impeachment is the primary mechanism for removal when that standard is violated. So this is interesting because let's take a look at this. What is it? There's a long list of things that James Boasberg has done incorrectly, in my view. But this latest is basically the corrupt Department of Justice and FBI approached him and asked for a subpoena of the phone records of, I think it was like 11 United States senators. Not only did he sign off on the subpoena, he also told the telecom providers that you cannot tell the senators about this for 1 year. And the reasoning on that, and we had the earlier clip we played yesterday on this about Ted Cruz saying, the reason says, well, I think it's a substantial likelihood that that the senators will try and cover up the information. Really? Are you kidding me? He had no basis for that whatsoever. There's a long line of very bad behavior by James Boasberg. This is just the latest example of it. But I want to talk about how and why judges have been impeached in the history of the United States, and why some were convicted and why some got off. So let's talk about that right now. If you were talking about what a high crime and misdemeanor is, right? That's the standard for impeachment. That would be, bribery, serious crime like bribery, perjury, tax evasion, or the abuse of power or official misconduct would fit in that category, I think. Favoritism on the bench, being drunk, right? And then corruption or ethical breaches that undermine public confidence in the judiciary. Okay, so let's take a look about this. There have been 15 federal judges that have been impeached by the House of Representatives since the founding of the Republic. The Senate has convicted 8 of those. Now, remember, and they've acquitted 7. How does this work? Well, articles of impeachment are brought before the House of Representatives, and the House of Representatives votes on it. And if there is a majority vote in the House of Representatives, they send that impeachment over to the Senate, where the trial is conducted. The trial requires a 2/3 guilty vote for the conviction to be held and for the office holder to be removed. And in fact, let me see if we've got a clip here. Let's bring clip 6. Byron Donald actually has said he's going to file that article. Here we go.
We should know. Number one, I think it was Judge Boasberg was the judge who signed off on all this stuff. He needs to lose his seat as a judge. Right. That needs to go. Number 2, they need to be called into Congress. But the third part is, because Congress will happen, we'll do that stuff. The Department of Justice is really going to have to go through this. And if there were criminal violations, they have to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This is worse than Watergate. As much as everybody wants to talk about Watergate and everything around Richard Nixon, this is significantly worse because while they were using the judicial system to go after their political rival, they were also in the background protecting Joe Biden from the American people with the auto pen investigation and then silencing the American people through social media, strong-arming media companies to silence the voices of Americans. This is the most corrupt presidential administration, the Biden administration, in the history of our country. Heads need to roll.
Okay, so he says he's going to file an article of impeachment. Brandon Gill from Texas has said he will do that as well. And I think Chip Roy said he'd be on with that. So there should be a number of people that will file the articles. Now, whether or not the House will take this up is a question that Speaker of the House Mike Johnson will control. You would think he might do it. Why? Because he's a constitutional attorney. That's his background. So I think we'd be open to that likelihood it would happen. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to go through in detail the 15 cases that have been brought, and I will put that impeachment, 8 convictions, 7 acquittals during the 200 plus years of our history, and then I will apply whether or not we think these elements are met in the James Boasberg case. I think they absolutely have been. We'll be back with more in a bit.
Hi, folks. John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just 1 scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Now more than ever, President Trump needs battle-tested conservatives fighting alongside him to save our country. That's why Trump endorsed Matt Van Epps for Congress. West Point grad, 9 combat tours, decorated Army vet. Matt Van Epps has devoted his life to defending America and the conservative values we cherish. Endorsed by Trump, fearless conservative, Tennessee's Matt Van Epps for Congress. School Freedom Fund is responsible for the content of this ad.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. So, we're looking at the likely impeachment of Judge James Boasberg, a federal district court judge in Washington, D.C., in the district court there. We'll get to Sean Davis in a bit about why that should be the case. But I want to talk historically now about 8 judges, federal judges, who were impeached and then convicted. And then we'll get, after we talk to get Sean Davis's take on it, we'll hear about the 7 acquitted judges. Okay, so the first judge who was impeached and convicted was John Pickering. Way back in 1804, he was a federal district court judge from New Hampshire. The charges in his case, drunkenness, profanity on the bench, and mental instability leading to irrational rulings. The Senate convicted him unanimously. Okay. Then the second federal judge who was impeached and convicted was a fellow from the District of Tennessee back in 1862, West H. Humphreys. He was charged with supporting the Confederacy and publicly advocating secession. He didn't even show up for the trial. He was convicted. In 1912, Robert Archbold, he was with a special court called the Commerce Court. He was charged with accepting gifts and favors from litigants in exchange for favorable rulings. He was convicted 66-11 and removed. Number 4, Halstead Ritter. He was a federal district court judge in the Southern District of Florida. He was charged with income tax evasion, practicing law while a judge, and bringing disrepute through shady financial deals. He was convicted narrowly, 56-28, and removed. Number 5, we're moving up to the modern era now. A federal district court judge in Nevada in 1986, Harry Claiborne, was charged with willful tax evasion. He was convicted and removed after his criminal conviction. So then number 6, a Democrat, Alcee Hastings. He was a federal district court judge in the Southern District of Florida. In 1989, he was charged with conspiracy to solicit a $150,000 bribe in exchange for lenient sentencing. He was convicted unanimously on perjury. Now, would you like to know the rest of the story about Alcee Hastings? A couple years later, as a Democrat, he was elected to Congress and served in Congress for well over 2 decades. Okay. Number 7, a fellow by the name of Walter L. Nixon. Not Richard, Walter L. Nixon, who was a federal district court judge in the Southern District of Mississippi. In 1989, he was charged with, this is getting a little tough, perjury before a grand jury to cover up discussions he had with a prosecutor about his son's drug case. He was convicted on perjury 89-8 and lost his judgeship. And then finally, Thomas Porteous from Louisiana, Eastern District of Louisiana, federal district court judge, 2010. He was charged with accepting bribes, lying under oath, doing bankruptcy, and getting kickbacks from law firms. He was convicted unanimously, 96-0. So that's the most recent judicial impeachment. You can see there that those are, in many cases, criminal activity. Now, we'll get to those who were acquitted, but before we do that, Sean Davis, who was here in studio here just earlier this week with the Federalist, made the case to Benny Johnson about why Boasberg should be impeached and convicted. He makes a compelling case. Let's go with Sean right now.
You were talking about cuck Republicans and how just completely weak Republicans have been, except for this moment, and we should appreciate it.
Yeah. I was saying that we have been tortured as Republicans watching idiots debate and not know how to do it for years. And then finally we get Trump, who just calls Rosie O'Donnell fat right out of the gate. And then we have JD, who can actually really articulate extemporaneously his entire vision of government and politics. And it's amazing. Why did we not have that sooner? Why did we have to wait so long?
Why have we waited so long for a Republican candidate to say that I'm not the president of the world, I'm the president of America, that's all I care about, and that actually unlimited immigration from countries that don't speak our language, that don't share our common religion, that don't have our value systems, that's bad? Why has it taken so long to get that? I'm nearly 40, Sean. That's been a long time.
Oh, you're still young. You still have hair. No, it's because we had globalists running the party who thought that their role was to loot the country on behalf of everyone else all over the world who wanted to make money off of us. And it's why they hate Donald Trump. It's why, by the way, they tried to defeat J.D. Vance when he first ran for Senate in Ohio. If you recall election night when he won, you had a bunch of establishment rhino Republicans on network television trying to say, oh, we can't believe he only won by 8. He's such a terrible candidate. He doesn't know anything about politics. If only he were more like Mitch McConnell, he could have had a bigger victory. Well, now he's our vice president. God willing, he'll be our 48th president. And I think he's one of the best politicians and talents we've seen in the Republican Party in generations.
Biggest applause line last night was about child sacrifice and how we shouldn't be allowing that. And how we and we can thank Christendom for ending child sacrifice in the Americas. And maybe Christians don't get the kind of credit that they deserve. And that he's not going to be ashamed or apologize for being a Christian, for raising his children as a Christian. A particularly nasty question from someone who is like, how can you possibly be married to somebody without your same faith tradition? Going after his family, his wife, his kids. That is a grotesque thing that we're constantly seeing. Nonetheless, his defense of Christendom was probably his most strongest and remarkable thing. We've heard hawkish immigration policies for a while. Okay, that's fine. But and that's good, and he did great on that. But it's defense of Christendom, man. His non-apologetic defense of the faith was wonderful.
It is, and I'm so glad we finally have someone doing it, because I actually think this is the major debate of our time. it was Christianity and the foundation of it that eliminated slavery. Okay, it wasn't Muslim, it wasn't Hindu, it wasn't Judaism, it was Christianity, because it was Christianity that taught every single one of us was made in the image of God, that we were all precious, and Jesus Christ died for our sins. Therefore, if we were good enough to have Christ die for our sins, which is a little bit of an inversion, it was because Christ is good enough. But if Christ saw us and said, I'm willing to shed my blood for you, then we should probably look at each person he shed his blood for and say, you know what? You are a human being made in his image. You are bigger than property. Okay, you have your own agency. It is wrong to enslave you. Chattel slavery is wrong. It is wrong to murder you in the womb because you were knit together there by your creator in his image. It is Christianity that created the hospital. Okay, Christianity is the foundation of everything wonderful and good we have ever seen on this earth. And thank God we finally have a politician willing to not just shy away from it or try to pretend, it's not something we're going to talk about. Christianity is the foundation of this nation. We were founded and settled by Christian men who came here for religious freedom. You better believe we are going to push for a Christian nation. It is Christianity and its precepts which form the basis of our Constitution. So yes, he's right. We don't have a neutral public square. We have never had a neutral public square. The only question is, whose values are you going to have that are ascendant in the public square? And you know what? I think it should be ours.
Okay, well, that was a great clip. It wasn't the particular clip that we were looking for. And I think I've got that right now here in terms of the argument that Sean made for this. I thought he talked about that with Benny, but apparently not. What he did, though, however, is here we go. We've got the argument that he was making had to do with, let me just make this. Julie Kelly put out a clip yesterday. The non-disclosure order signed by Jeb Boasberg in May 2023, prohibiting Verizon from notifying several U.S. senators about this information Jack Smith had requested. She put that out, and here's the pitch that we were getting to from Sean. This is a blatant, bright line, unambiguous violation of 2 U.S. Code 6628. It was done deliberately by Boasberg to prevent the Senate from being able to vindicate its rights in federal court. Federal law explicitly bans these type of gag orders on collection of Senate communications, requires notice of the Senate anytime communications are collected, and also requires courts to quash subpoenas upon motion of the Senate. That's why Judge James Boasberg knowingly violated the law. He knew the Senate would get the subpoena quashed upon notice of the illegal spying. That is the core argument right here, that the court order that was delivered by Judge Boasberg to both AT&T and Verizon in 2023, I think it would have been like May or June of 2023, he knew that court order was illegal, and he did it anyways. Why? It was a political reason, because he thought by the time the senators knew that, Donald Trump would have been knocked out of the race or in prison, and they would not have had any effect at it. When we come back, we'll compare that standard to the 7 impeached judges who were acquitted, and we'll see, does this apply to James Boasberg? Would he be convicted, or will he be acquitted if impeached? Back after this.
EJ Haast here, founder of the Digital Footprint Management Agency and frequent guest on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, here to tell you about GetFoundEverywhere.com. Customers are searching for your business everywhere: Google, Apple Maps, TikTok, and new AI platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini, which is a total disruptor. Traditional search engine optimization isn't dead, but it is on life support. Old tactics don't work anymore. So how can you make your business stand out? GetFoundEverywhere.com makes your business pop on over 50 search, map, review, and AI-driven platforms. With one easy dashboard, manage business profiles, social media accounts, direct messages, even texts and reviews. GetFoundEverywhere.com is affordable, boosts your visibility, and gets your business more customers. It's time to step up your game the easy way. Save time, save money, and get more customers with GetFoundEverywhere.com.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of Glockstore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported the Second Amendment rights of free men and women to protect themselves and their families with firearms. We offer the very best in both selection and prices on Glock handguns, custom Glocks, Glock magazines, and high-performance shooting accessories at Glockstore.com. We also have the finest retail showroom and our Shoot 270 shoot rooms right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Come visit us at Glockstore.com, and you'll be glad you did.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it, believe me. Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
This is Michael Patrick Leahy. Join Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr, Senator Marsha Blackburn, Congressman Tim Burchett, and Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs and me at T-Bones and Politics 2025 on the evening of November 10th in Murfreesboro for a night of great food, good fellowship, and inspiring political speeches. Get your tickets now. They're going fast at tbonesandpolitics2025.com. This is a great annual event. This year, musical entertainment will be provided by the Tremolo Honey Band. If you haven't heard them before, they are absolutely fantastic. This special event is sponsored by Barrett Firearms, Old South SRM, Moody Excavating, Azure Flight Management, and SEC Engineers. So go right now to tbonesandpolitics2025.com and get your tickets for T-Bones and Politics. It's an evening of great food and fun on November 10th. I'll see you there. Paid for by Joe Pack, William Ronsley, Treasurer.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Okay, so we promised that we would explain to you the 7 federal judges who were impeached by the House of Representatives, but then subsequently found acquitted in their Senate trials. Remember, majority in the House to impeach, 2/3 in the Senate to convict. All right, so the first one was actually, there have been 3 of these 7 who've been impeached were Supreme Court justices. The first Supreme Court justice who was impeached was a fellow by the name of Samuel Chase. He was a Supreme Court justice back in 1805. Remember, this was right at the very beginning of the John Marshall Court, and it was under the Marshall Court where the Supreme Court began asserting the concept of judicial review and brought the court into balance to some degree with the executive branch of the president and the legislative branch of the Congress, kind of what the founders had in mind. Chase was charged with partisan bias against Jeffersonian Democrat Republicans during sedition trials. He was acquitted by a vote of 16 for conviction, 18 against, so not even a majority. Then the second judge to be impeached and acquitted was a fellow by the name of James Peck. The charges were that he imprisoned a lawyer for contempt after the lawyer criticized one of his rulings. Well, he was acquitted 23 to 21. Again, still kind of half and half, short of the 2/3. But that trial, this is important, led to reform of contempt laws. The third one to be impeached but acquitted was a fellow by the name of Charles Swain. He was a federal district court judge in the Northern District of Florida. The charges against him were padding expense accounts, using railroad property in receivership for personal gain, acquitted on all 12 counts. But again, it was 25 to 18 on a key charge. So it was kind of like a fact-based element there of, criminal activity. The fourth was a fellow by the name of Harold Louderback, impeached but acquitted from the Northern District of California in 1933. The charge was favoritism in appointing receivers and allowing excessive fees, acquitted on all 5 articles, 45-34. In other words, more than a majority, but not 2/3. Then let's get to another Supreme Court justice. The fifth federal judge who was impeached, but actually not really impeached. There's an asterisk on this. So it was began impeachment proceedings. So it's really not 14 who've been impeached, 15 that have been impeached, rather. It's a lower number. The charges were financial ties to a private foundation. The House Judiciary Committee declined to recommend impeachment, so there was no vote. So he wasn't really impeached. So we've got those numbers wrong. The sixth, Abe Fortas, again a Supreme Court justice, back in 1969. The charge was that he accepted $20,000 from a foundation tied to a financier under SEC investigation. He resigned to avoid impeachment, so there was no Senate trial. And then finally, the seventh, in 2009, Samuel B. Kent, Southern District of Texas, 2009, was charged, this is not good, sexual assault of 2 employees and lying to investigators and obstructing justice. He was impeached on all 4 articles, but he resigned before the Senate trial. Okay, so what's our theme here? Well, the theme here is even though these 7 were either impeached or had impeachment proceedings brought against them, and even though they were ultimately acquitted, that is, didn't get to the 2/3 vote, the act of impeachment led to significant positive change. So, for instance, in the case of James Peck, it led to the reform of contempt laws. That's a good thing. In other cases, Abe Fortas, the beginning of impeachment, led to his resignation, right? Resigned to avoid impeachment. So actually, when we look at this, I think we got the numbers wrong. It's commonly said that 7 judges were impeached and acquitted. Actually, it looks like it was just 5, because impeachment proceedings were begun against William O. Douglas, Supreme Court Justice, and Abe Fortas, but they were not impeached. So it looks like the numbers that we're looking at here, but 13 have been impeached, 8 have been convicted, and 5 have been acquitted. Now, let's go to the reasons that Boasberg should be impeached. Let's go to Senator Eric Schmidt from Missouri. I think he was one of the senators whose phone records were illegally obtained by the investigators through the crooked subpoena signed by Judge Boasberg and the compliance of that subpoena by his service provider. Let's go with Eric Schmidt on this.
Judge Boasberg gave a speech about how he was going to thwart the Trump agenda before he got those cases. He was not the assignment judge. The D.C. courts have a daily assignment judge. He wasn't the assignment judge. He's on vacation. Somehow gets these cases at 1 a.m. Was he tipped off? Did somebody tell him these cases against President Trump and his agenda now were coming? I don't know. We should find that out. But Judge Boasberg, what he did to Senator Cruz and maybe other senators, absolutely, and I don't say this lightly, absolutely is worthy of impeachment proceedings. There has to be accountability. The American people have heard a lot about this, and you're going to hear more. We should have Watergate-style hearings on this for months. If we're ever going to root this out, we have to be serious about it, and consequences have to follow. Resignations, firings, criminal prosecutions. You simply can't, in this country, use the justice system to throw people in jail because they have a red jersey on or a blue jersey on.
Yeah, and so let's go to what Schmidt was talking about here, and we'll get to one other thing. There are really kind of at least 4 major problems with Boasberg. First was the signing of the subpoenas, which he knew were illegal because they violated the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Stored Communications Act, and the Speech and Debate Clause of the Constitution. He knew that. He also knew that his court order prohibiting AT&T from telling Senator Cruz about the existence of this subpoena for his phone records, he knew that was also illegal, but he did it anyways. The second thing in March of this year that Senator Schmidt's talking about here is Boasberg gave a speech to a bunch of judges in March, said we've got to resist the Trump administration. The third thing he was talking about, which we've discussed, is his zooming in to take the lawsuit from those leftist groups in late March of this year who were defending the Tren de Aragua illegal alien criminals who were in the process of being deported to El Salvador. First problem with that case, as we've talked about, is first, it was not the proper venue. The District of Columbia was not the proper venue to take that case. But he knew that because the Tren de Aragua criminals were being removed from Texas. So that case should have been brought in Texas. Ultimately, that when the challenge was made, appeals court ruled, yeah, it's got to be in Texas, and it was taken away from Boasberg. But it looks like he engineered that case so that he found out like real quickly, like at 1 o'clock in the evening, that the case had been filed in his court, in the District of Columbia court, federal court, by these leftists who wanted to keep the Tren de Aragua criminals in the United States. And then he assigned it to himself because he's the chief judge. And then he had this very hurried hearing that ended with him giving a verbal order to the Department of Justice. Those planes can't take off. Well, they'd already taken off, most of them. And his written order didn't come till the following day. And then he said, oh, this is terrible, terrible. We can't do this. It was all a political movement on his part. Then the fourth thing, let's get this Devin Nunes tape up against. This is another problem with Judge Boasberg. This was from, I think, 2018, 2019, where Devin Nunes, then in Congress, now the head of Trump Media, was talking about some very suspect behavior by Judge Boasberg, talking to Maria Bartiromo. Let's play this clip right now.
But first, tonight, corruption and abuse of power. The FBI agent at the center of the Russia collusion lie sentenced today with no jail time and no fines, despite altering the document which enabled the FBI to spy on an innocent American citizen for a year. Kevin Kleinsmith sentenced to 12 months probation and 400 hours of community service. No jail time. A slap on the wrist for lying and doctoring an email about Trump advisor Carter Page, so that the FBI could get a FISA warrant to wiretap him. This is the first guilty plea from Special Counsel John Durham's criminal investigation on the origins of the Russia collusion lie. Coming up, the man at the center of that lie targeted because he was associated with Donald Trump. Carter Page is here tonight with reaction after getting wiretapped for a year with no charges ever lobbed against him. But first, the lawmaker who first uncovered the fraud more than 3 years ago. Intelligence Committee ranking member Devin Nunes with reaction to this latest FBI controversy. He's the author of the book, Countdown to Socialism. Congressman, it's good to see you tonight. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you.
Your reaction to Kevin Kleinsmith and this slap on the wrist?
It's, I would say, quite disturbing. Republicans and conservatives around the country that have watched this closely. This is probably the worst thing that could have happened for national security. The judge that made this ruling is the new judge that oversees the FISA court. For nearly 4 years, Republicans in the House and the Senate had alerted the court that there was a problem with the Carter Page FISA application. We called it FISA abuse. You covered it on your Sunday morning show for many years, Maria. So where we go from here, I think, is it's going to become part of the party platform that Republicans are not going to be for the FISA court. And that's an unfortunate thing to say because they've backed Republicans.
The judge in this case, James Boasberg. How about that? Well, there you go. That's why Judge James Boasberg should be impeached. And even though the Senate would probably not convict him because the Democrats don't have a brain and are always against it, it should be undertaken. When we come back, News Potpourri. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
This is Tom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul Tea
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today. And get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
I flew 9 combat tours taking out terrorists.
Matt Van Epps, America First warrior.
When my Chinook took enemy fire, I kept her in the air, got our guys, and completed the mission.
Matt Van Epps, American hero.
Now I'm on a new mission to help Trump save America. I'm Matt Van Epps. I approve this message because I know what to do with terrorists. So these woke wannabes in Washington better take cover.
Matt Van Epps, the conservative warrior Trump needs.
Paid for by Matt Van Epps for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee. It's that time of day again. It's time for News Potpourri. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, News Potpourri. This is the portion of the program where we talk about the stories that are of note, don't necessarily merit a full segment, and may have a touch of irony. Well, let's just start off with a touch of humor to begin with. Kamala Harris is back again, and apparently her latest great idea, she wants to lower the voting age to 16. Would you like to know why? We have the clip. We'll tell you.
I think we should reduce voting age to 16. I'll tell you why. So, Gen Z, they're age about 13 through 27. They've only known the climate crisis. They missed substantial parts of their education because of the pandemic. If they're in high school or college, especially in college, it is very likely that whatever they've chosen as their major for study may not result in an affordable wage. They've coined the term climate anxiety to describe fear of not only being able to buy a home, but that fear will be wiped out by extreme weather, but fear of having children. It is expected that Gen Z will have 10 to 12 jobs in their lifetime. They are a larger number than boomers. They're a specific generation of people who are going to impact our nation and the world. And I think we must invest in them, but I think that they are rightly impatient with a lot of what is the tradition of leadership right now. And if they were able to vote, because they know everything that's happening right now is going to impact them more than anybody older than them, for the most part, in terms of how these systems work. If they're voting right now, at 16 and up, they're going to be talking about the importance of climate. They're going to be talking about the importance of figuring out how AI is going to affect the future of the workforce. They're going to be focused on what are we really doing about affordable housing.
Okay, that's all I can take. How stupid is she? I mean, brains don't fully form until 25, according to some research. And 16-year-olds don't know anything. I mean, come on. They don't have a job. They don't know anything. That's one of the stupidest ideas ever. It's almost as stupid as Obamacare, which passed in 2010, and then Judge John Roberts made a mistake and switched sides, and 5-4 found it constitutional because it was a tax in one case and it wasn't a tax in another case. Just too hard to figure that argument out. But Obamacare is a failure. There's an article by Dr. Robert Moffat at the Daily Signal today. Let me just summarize this for you. Let us pass over for the moment Obama's solemn 2009 promise that if you liked your health plan, you could keep it. That's a lie. In fact, millions of Americans lost the coverage they knew and liked. Even the lefties at PolitiFact called the promise, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, the lie of the year. But Obamacare's chronic conditions are still with us. The rapidly rising healthcare costs, the collapse of personal choice and competition in the individual markets, and the widespread reduction of patient access to preferred doctors and hospitals in the Obamacare plan is there. The law was supposed to solve, prevent, or at least ameliorate those problems. It did not. It did not. It's a complete disaster. And this is the hook, the thing that the Democrats are holding the government hostage for. That's kind of weird. A couple of other things going on right now. The Miami Herald is reporting that President Trump has decided to strike Venezuela, and it could come at any moment. Basically, and the idea here is to send a clear, violent message to Maduro, the dictator, the narco dictator at Venezuela. It's time to flee. So we'll see how that all plays out. There'll be a hue and cry and upset among the Democrats, but who cares? They are not a serious party anymore. A couple of other, this is weird. Somebody that's not to be taken seriously. Bill Kristol, who was the chief of staff for Dan Quayle and grew up in New York City, doesn't like Donald Trump anymore, founder of the Weekly Standard. Wait for it. He has endorsed Zohran Mamdani. What does that tell you? He has lost his mind, completely lost his mind. We've got some elections going on, and on Tuesday, gubernatorial election in New Jersey. I think we got a shot there. Mayoral election in New York City. I don't think we have much of a chance there because Curtis Sliwa, the Republican, he's polling between 11 and 19%. It's going to be probably a double-digit victory for the Muslim Marxist from Manhattan, Zohran Mamdani. A lot of implications for that. And what else do we have here? In Virginia, Republicans are going to need a huge turnout in Virginia. And I don't know. I think you've got all those federal bureaucrats in Northern Virginia who don't have a lot to do now that they're on a shutdown, and they're probably getting out the vote for the Democrat Spanberger. I think my best guess is Jason Myers wins narrowly a re-election as a lieutenant governor because the Democrat there is basically somebody that wants to kill his opponents. But I would be very surprised if Winsome Earl Sears wins as governor. So there you go. That's the that's News Potpourri for Friday, October 31st, 2025. I hope you have a great day and a safe Halloween. I'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy, the website TennesseeStar.com.
This is State Senator Mark Pody. Government is limited to what it is supposed to do. One of the things that is critical that we're supposed to be working on is transportation. Here in Middle Tennessee, our roads need more help. As your state senator, we are focused on getting more money reoccurring without a new tax increase for our roads here in Tennessee. This is State Senator Mark Pody.
Paid for by Campaign for Mark Pody, Christina Hibden, Treasurer.
Hey there, it's Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of GlockStore.com. For over 30 years, I've supported our Second Amendment rights with GlockStore.com, the world's #1 source for Glock handguns, parts, and accessories. I also support accurate, unbiased journalism like The Michael Patrick Leahy Show. His team broke the Kilmar Abrego Garcia traffic stop and was the first to obtain that video. Independent journalism at its finest. Visit us at GlockStore.com. Listen to Michael Patrick Leahy and make America great again.
FlatFeeNashville.com is a full-service real estate brokerage that charges homeowners a upfront flat fee of $999 to completely list, market, and sell your home. We are all about saving consumers money, saving that equity. Nobody should hire an agent and feel like when that agent walks in the door, that agent is more concerned about the down payment on their next Mercedes purchase versus saving the equity that those homeowners have worked hard for. I've spent my entire career in ensuring that the equity that people save and they put into their monthly mortgage every single month, as much of that as we possibly can goes back to them when they go to list and sell that home. The idea is to give homeowners the ability to really create generational wealth.
FlatFeeNashville.com, FlatFeeNashville.com.